The coffee had just reached the rim when I heard my son say, "Dad won't notice." I noticed. Evan stood on the other side of my kitchen island with his phone lying on top of a box marked Ivory Candles Fragile, Brooke's voice coming through the speaker. He had one hand buried in a bag of miniature clothespins Tessa had bought for the place cards. "Until when?" Brooke asked. "Until we're at the hotel. By then it won't matter." He glanced toward me. I kept pouring. "He won't make a scene." The coffee spilled into the saucer, then spread beneath it in a thin brown circle. Brooke said, "You still have to tell Lena." "No, I don't. She's not on the list." That was when Evan realized the phone was still on speaker. He snatched it off the box and pressed it to his ear. I set the pot down, tore a paper towel from the roll, and wiped the counter slowly enough to give him time to decide what kind of man he wanted to be. He chose busy. "Yeah, no, I'm here," he said into the phone. "Just text me the final number." I dropped the wet paper towel in the trash. "You want cream?" He stared at me for half a second. "Sure," he said. "Thanks, Dad." 3 weeks before a wedding, every service becomes somebody else's property. My kitchen table was covered with ribbons, envelopes, and a hot glue gun that had somehow become attached to one of my good dish towels. 2 aluminum trays occupied the bottom shelf of my refrigerator. There were dried flowers in my umbrella stand, and a handwritten sign taped above my sink that said, "Do not use the gold scissors." I did not own gold scissors. Evan had arrived at 7 that Saturday morning because the benches at the wedding venue needed looking at. Looking at was family language for me, bringing tools. He was 36, broad through the shoulders, with Diane's dark hair, and my habit of pushing his glasses up with one finger when his hands were dirty. He wore a gray t-shirt from some charity race he had not run. Tessa had run it. Evan had held her jacket and eaten half a banana at the finish line, then accepted the shirt because they had extras. He ended the call and slid the phone into his pocket. "Brooke still changing the count?" I asked. "You know Brooke, I do. She thinks every cousin needs a personalized welcome basket. Your mother used to say Brooke could turn a ham sandwich into a committee." Evan smiled, but only with his mouth. "That sounds like Mom." I put his coffee beside the fragile candles. He took it without looking at the cup. For years, that had been one of the small satisfactions of being his father. I knew what he reached for before he asked. Cream, no sugar, mustard on hamburgers, never ketchup, ice and water unless he had a headache. Then no ice, because cold made his teeth hurt. It was strange how much you could know about somebody who had decided you wouldn't notice them lying. He dug through the box again. "Have you seen the tiny easels? I saw 12 tiny easels beside my toaster last night. There should be 24. Maybe they migrated." "Dad, I'm not familiar with their natural predators." He looked at me then, and for a second, we were ourselves. His laugh came out before he could stop it. Evan's real laugh had always begun with a sharp breath through his nose, like a sneeze changing its mind. Then the phone buzzed in his pocket, and he remembered whatever version of himself the wedding required. "We should get moving," he said. The venue was an old Grange Hall 20 minutes outside town, painted white sometime during the Carter administration and touched up only where photographs were likely to be taken. Tessa's aunt belonged to the committee that rented it, which had saved Evan and Tessa enough money to forgive the plumbing. The ceremony was supposed to happen beneath 2 maple trees behind the hall. I had spent the previous 4 weekends building an arch in my garage from maple boards Evan and Tessa had chosen. Simple square posts, curved top, no fancy scroll work. Tessa wanted it to look organic, which turned out to mean she would know what she disliked when she saw it. The benches were stored in a shed that smelled like wet rope and mouse ambition. Evan opened the door and stepped aside. "Third one wobbles," he said. They all wobbled. I crouched and ran my hand under the nearest seat. Somebody had tried to repair it with 2 drywall screws, and an amount of faith I respected, but could not endorse. How many people are sitting on these? Maybe 60. Maybe 58 confirmed. And Lena makes 59? He was standing behind me, so I couldn't see his face. The silence lasted just long enough to be visible. "Tessa's handling the seating," he said. I tightened my grip on the bench. That answer told me 2 things. First, he had rehearsed it. Second, he had decided Tessa's name could be used as a locked door. I stood and brushed sawdust from my knees. "These need new braces. I can cut them Monday." "All of them?" Unless you want the wedding remembered as the day Aunt Carol folded backward during the vows. She'd make it about her. She has that gift. He smiled again, relieved that I had let him walk around the question. That was my gift. Tessa arrived carrying 3 iced coffees in a cardboard tray and wearing leggings, a blue sweatshirt, and the expression of a woman whose wedding had developed its own weather system. She was 34 and worked in physical therapy, where I suspected she used the same cheerful firmness on stubborn patients that she used on Evan. I brought reinforcements, she said. Tom, yours is black. Bless you. You say that now. They were out of regular, so it's cold brew. I took a sip. It tasted like a coffee bean had described a difficult childhood to a glass of water. Terrific, I said. Tessa narrowed her eyes. You hate it. I'm getting to know it. He hates it, Evan told her. He drinks gas station coffee. Gas stations understand coffee. She laughed and touched my arm as she passed. That was Tessa. She made contact when she spoke to you, as if every sentence deserved a small anchor. I liked her. That complicated things. She walked us through the ceremony setup, moving chairs that did not yet exist with both hands. The arch would go between the maples. The aisle needed to be wider. The first 2 benches on each side were for family. Diane wants the left front, she said. Mom needs the aisle, Evan added, her knee. Diane's knee had been perfect the previous month when she danced for 2 hours at Brooke's birthday dinner, but I said, all right. Tessa looked from him to me. And you'll be on the right, Tom. Evan dropped his keys. They landed on the wooden floor with a crack that echoed through the empty hall. Tessa stopped. He bent to pick them up. Sorry. With Brooke, she finished. It was a smooth recovery if you hadn't spent 37 years listening for what people left out. Brooke will be sitting with Alan, I said. Alan was Brooke's husband. He was 41, quiet, and allergic to any gathering where people said the word tablescape. We're still working through it, Evan said. Tessa began explaining where the photographer would stand. She did not touch anybody while she did it. We stayed at the hall until noon. I measured the benches, checked a loose stair rail, and made a list on the back of an envelope advertising septic service. Evan carried things when I pointed. Tessa answered 6 calls and nearly cried because the florist had ordered blush roses instead of dusty roses. I had never learned the difference. I offered to drive to the florist with a can of dust. That earned a laugh from her, but it broke halfway through. On the drive back, Evan talked about traffic, weather, and whether I still had the folding tables from Brooke's 40th birthday. He filled every space before I could put Lena's name into it. I let him. That was not surrender. Not yet. I wanted to see how far he would carry the lie when I placed the truth directly in his hands. At my house, he loaded the ivory candles and the box of easels into his car. There were only 12. The other 12 were under the kitchen table, where he had set them himself. He stood beside the open trunk, scrolling through messages. Does the hotel need meal choices ahead of time? I asked. Already done. For Lena, too? His thumb stopped. The maple in my front yard dropped 1 dry leaf between us. It skittered across the driveway and lodged beneath his rear tire. Yeah, he said. Tessa handled all that. There it was. Not panic, not confusion. A clean lie, delivered to my face in the same driveway where I had taught him to ride a bicycle. He had been 8, furious with me for letting go of the seat even though he had ordered me to. He rode halfway down the block before he realized I wasn't behind him, then crashed into Mrs. Kelly's hedge and accused me of betrayal. I could still see his skinny legs kicking inside those branches. Good, I said. Lena was wondering. His relief came too quickly. Tell her not to worry. I'll do that. He closed the trunk. Thanks for today. Seriously, I don't know what we'd do without you. He hugged me with one arm, the distracted kind of hug people give while keeping track of their keys. Then he got in his car and backed out. I watched until he turned the corner. Lena came over that evening with a bottle of red wine and a paper sack from the Italian place on Fulton. She had silver threaded through her brown hair and reading glasses she refused to wear on a chain because, according to her, she was not yet prepared to become a librarian in a murder mystery. She found the missing easels under the table in 7 seconds. Should I call the authorities? She asked. I think we can handle this internally. You say that now, but these things escalate. She lined them up on the counter while I opened the wine. Lena had her own key, her own slippers beside my back door, and a blue ceramic mug in the cabinet. Yet she still carried an overnight bag each time she stayed. never leaving more than would fit in one trip to her car. I had noticed that too. We ate lasagna at the kitchen table, shifting ribbon spools and place cards to make room for our plates. Lena told me about the house she was buying near her sister. The inspection had found an old water stain in the upstairs hall. "It's dry," she said. "The roof was replaced 6 years ago. That's what they say right before you discover a family of ducks in the attic. I like ducks. You like ducks outside. I don't know. They might pay rent." I smiled, but she set down her fork. What happened? Nothing happened. Tom. The trouble with loving an observant woman was that I had never developed enough dishonesty to make it interesting. I picked up my wine, then put it down without drinking. "This morning," I said, "I heard Evan talking to Brooke." Lena waited. "He told her you weren't on the guest list." The refrigerator clicked off. Without its hum, the kitchen became so quiet I could hear the little battery clock above the stove. Lena looked at the wedding debris surrounding our dinner, then at the blue mug drying beside the sink. "Did he tell you why?" "He didn't tell me anything. He doesn't know I heard." Her face changed at that. Not shock, recognition. "And you spent the day fixing his benches." "I had already said I would." "Of course you had." "He lied when I asked him directly." Lena folded her napkin once, then again, making the edges meet exactly. "What did you say?" "I looked at the 12 tiny easels lined up on my counter like witnesses. I told him not to worry." Lena nodded, slow and tired, then she pushed her chair back. "I'm not disappearing for them again, Tom." "I know," I said. "Do you?" Lena remained standing, one hand resting on the back of her chair. Her plate was half full. A strip of cheese had slid off the lasagna and cooled against the rim. "I'm not asking you to disappear. No. You're asking me to wait while you decide whether you're allowed to object. That isn't fair. Fair would have been Evan calling me himself. I mean to me. I know what you meant." She carried her plate to the sink. She did not slam it down. Lena never gave people the satisfaction of an easy accusation. She rinsed the sauce away, set the plate in the dishwasher, and wiped the counter where no water had spilled. "I need to talk to him," I said. "Yes, I'm going to." "All right. You don't believe me." She turned. "I believe you're going to talk to him. I don't know if you're going to tell him what you want, or if you're going to help him explain why you shouldn't want it." The corkscrew lay between us beside the wine bottle. I folded its 2 arms down. "It's his wedding, I'm aware. Diane may have put him in a bad position. Diane called him and said she wouldn't attend if I did. Evan took that bad position, gift-wrapped it, and put your name on the tag. You don't know that's what happened. Then tell me what did." I couldn't. Lena's eyes were shiny, but her voice stayed level. That made it worse. Anger I could repair. Anger had loose hinges and stripped screws. This was something that had been load-bearing too long. She picked up her wine glass and took it to the sink. "You don't have to leave," I said. "I'm going home. This is your home, too." She looked around my kitchen. The ivory candle box sat on the floor beside the pantry. 12 miniature easels stood on the counter. Dried flowers leaned from the umbrella stand in the hall. Tessa's gold scissors were still taped off like evidence at a crime scene. "No," Lena said. "It's where I keep slippers." I followed her to the back door. She sat on the bench and pulled on her shoes. The overnight bag she had carried in was still zipped. "What about the inspection?" I asked. It was a coward's question. We both knew it. I asked it anyway. "The inspector thinks the stain is old. I can take a look." "He already did. I meant myself." "I know." She stood and put on her coat. Lena had first shown me the little brick house near her sister 6 weeks earlier. 2 bedrooms, a narrow backyard, kitchen cabinets painted a yellow. She called cheerful, and I called mustard-related. She had walked me through it as though we were choosing where our furniture might go. I had pointed out a crack in the driveway and spent 20 minutes examining the electrical panel. She had asked me in the empty dining room if I could see myself living there. I told her we shouldn't make any big decisions before the wedding. 3 weeks later, she was buying it alone. "Will you call me when you get there?" I asked. "I always do." She opened the door, then stopped with her hand on the knob. "I'm not asking to be in every photograph," she said. "I'm not asking Evan to call me family if he doesn't feel it." I would have survived an honest conversation. "I know. What I won't do is let them hide me and call your silence agreement." She left. I stood at the door until her headlights disappeared beyond the hedge. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. Home. Ducks have not breached the roof. I typed, good. Then I erased it. I wrote, I'm sorry, that looked cheap. Finally I sent, I heard you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. I hope so, she replied. I did not sleep much. At 2 in the morning, I found myself in the kitchen, separating wedding items from things that actually belong there. Candles went beside the refrigerator. Dried flowers went next to them. Ribbons, envelopes, easels, clothespins, and the gold scissors went into 2 boxes. The hot glue gun had to be peeled from my dish towel. It took part of the fabric with it, leaving a stiff white patch shaped like Florida. By 3, I had the table back. It looked larger without the wedding spread across it. It also looked like a place where somebody had recently packed to leave. At 8:15, I called Evan. He answered on the 4th ring. Everything okay? Come by when you can. A pause. Why? I'd rather talk in person. What happened? Nothing that didn't happen yesterday. He understood. I heard it in the change in his breathing. Dad, I have a lot going on today. So do I. Can we do this tonight? No. Another pause. Did Lena say something? Yes. What did she say? That's between Lena and me. I'm asking what time you can be here. He arrived at 9:20 wearing yesterday's gray t-shirt under a zip-up jacket. He came through the back door without knocking, carrying the cold outside with him. The boxes were lined up beside the table. What's all this? He asked. Wedding supplies. I can see that. You'll need to take them. Why? Because this isn't the wedding office anymore. He put his keys on the counter, right where his phone had been the previous morning. Can we not do the dramatic version of this? I haven't gotten to my version yet. His jaw shifted. That came from me, too. I poured coffee. This time I stopped below the rim. Yesterday, I said, you told Brooke I wouldn't notice Lena wasn't invited until we got to the hotel. His face went still. You heard that. Yes. Why didn't you say anything? I wanted to give you the chance to tell me yourself. I was going to. You had the chance in the shed. You had it at the hall. You had it in the driveway when I asked if the hotel had Lena's meal choice. Tessa is handling the meals. You said she handled Lena's. He rubbed both hands over his face. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. Which part? The hotel part. The lie, then. Fine, the lie. And the rest. He walked to the window over the sink and looked into the backyard. Lena's slippers sat underneath him by the door. Mom called me Thursday, he said. She's upset. Your mother has a wide range of upset. She doesn't want Lena at the wedding. I gathered that. She says it would be humiliating. For whom? Dad. That wasn't the question. He turned away from the window. She doesn't want to sit there all night watching you two act like some happy couple. We are a happy couple. Good for you. The sharpness surprised both of us. Evan lowered his eyes. He picked up one of the miniature easels, unfolded its back leg, then snapped it shut again. Mom's been planning this with Tessa for almost a year, he said. She's done the flowers, the rehearsal, the hotel bags. She told us if Lena came, she wouldn't. So you chose. I tried to find a compromise. What was it? Lena skips the ceremony and comes to the brunch Sunday. I waited. He stared at the easel. And I attend both, I said. Yes, without telling Lena why she's not there. I didn't say that. You didn't tell her anything, because we hadn't finished working it out. You finished the seating list. Brooke called it final. That doesn't mean it's final. It was final enough to leave Lena off. He put the easel down too hard. It bounced once and landed on its side. You know what Mom's like, he said. Yes. You know how hard she can make things. Yes. And you're still doing this 3 weeks before my wedding. There it was again. The family arithmetic. Diane's reaction was weather. Mine was a decision. I pulled out a chair and sat. The rehearsal dinner won't be here. Evan blinked. What? You can't ask Lena to vanish from my family and then use her chair for your rehearsal dinner. It's not her chair. His eyes moved toward the slippers as soon as he said it. Maybe that's the problem, I said. He exhaled hard. We have 32 people coming here. You'll need another plan. Where exactly am I supposed to find a rehearsal space 3 weeks out? I don't know. You already ordered the food. The order can be moved. To where? That's part of the new plan. He gave one short laugh. There was no humor in it. So, this is punishment. No, punishment would be waiting until everybody arrived. You're trying to force me to invite her. I'm deciding what happens in my house. The wedding isn't about you, I agree. Then why are you making it about Lena? I didn't remove anyone from your guest list, Evan. He paced to the refrigerator and back. Mom won't come. That will be her decision. You know it's not that simple. It became simple when you decided the easiest person to hurt was the one who wouldn't yell. His face reddened. Lena isn't family. He said it quickly as if speed could make it less deliberate. I looked at him. He looked away first. You've been with her 7 years, he said, quieter. That doesn't make her my family. No, but it should have made her a person you could speak to. He crossed his arms. What else are you pulling out of? The driving? You volunteered. I volunteered before I knew the hotel was where you planned to let me discover what you'd done. We have people flying in who need rides. You'll need drivers. And the benches? I said I'd make them safe. I'll make them safe. The arch? I'll finish what I promised. His expression tightened with confusion. He wanted me to either surrender or destroy something. He had no use for a boundary that did not come with flames. So you'll build the arch, but you won't drive Aunt Carol from the airport. Correct. That makes no sense. It does to me. He picked up his keys. This is exactly why I didn't tell you yet, he said. Because I'd notice? Because you'd take it personally. I almost admired that. He grabbed one wedding box, then set it back down, when he realized he couldn't carry both and opened the door at the same time. I did not help him. I'll come back for these, he said. Today. I said I'll come back. Today, Evan. He left without coffee. I remained at the table, listening to his car start in the driveway. My hands were steady. Everything else had moved. Less than a minute after he pulled away, my phone rang. Tessa, I answered. She did not say hello. Tom, she said, her voice thin and careful. What did Evan tell you I knew? He said you handled the meal choices, I said, including Lena's. Tessa went quiet. He said that? Twice. What else? He told me I'd sit with Brooke. Yesterday at the hall, you started to say I'd be sitting with someone else. I was going to say Lena. Her voice tightened. Then Evan dropped his keys. I remember. I thought he didn't want me to bring it up in front of you. Why? Because he said you already agreed. I looked through the window over the sink. One of the wind chimes Lena had given me turned soundlessly beneath the eave. Agreed to what? That Lena would skip the ceremony and come to brunch on Sunday. He said you understood why. He never asked me. Oh my God. Tessa? He said you were going to explain it to her yourself. He said you wanted to keep everything calm. That does sound like me. Please don't joke right now. I'm not sure I am. She breathed into the phone. In the background, a cabinet door closed hard. Did you cancel the rehearsal dinner? She asked. I told Evan it couldn't be held here. So, yes. Yes. 32 people are coming. So, Evan mentioned. The caterer is delivering to your address. The rentals are delivering to your address. My parents are staying 10 minutes from your address. I'm sorry. You're sorry. I am. You can't just pull the house out from under us. You're not under it yet. Tom, I'm not trying to be clever. You have 3 weeks to move the dinner. That's not easy, but it's possible. Because of a seating problem, because my son planned to bring me to a hotel and let me discover Lena had been removed from the wedding. Then he lied to me about it? I didn't know that. I believe you. Her breath caught, so small I might have missed it if the kitchen hadn't been empty. Evan said, you were fine, she said. Evan was counting on me becoming fine. I need to come over. You don't have to. I'm coming. She hung up. I set my phone on the table and looked at the boxes. The clean rectangle where the wedding materials had covered the wood was lighter than the rest of the tabletop. Sun had reached everything around them for weeks. I ran my fingertips along the line. Tessa's car came into the driveway 12 minutes later. She parked crooked, which I had never seen her do. She entered through the back, carrying a thick blue folder against her chest. Her hair was pulled into a loose knot, and she wore no makeup. She looked younger without it and more tired. Is Evan here? He left. Where did he go? I didn't ask. She put the folder on the table, saw the cleared surface, and stopped. You packed everything. I needed my kitchen back. That's the guest book. She pointed to one of the boxes as if I had put it out with the trash. It's safe. And the place card easels? All 24. There were only 12. 12 were under the table. She closed her eyes. I spent 40 minutes online last night trying to order replacements. I told Evan where they were. He told me you said they'd migrated. I offered 2 pieces of information. He preferred one. Under other circumstances, she might have laughed. Her mouth twitched, then flattened. She pulled out a chair. Can I sit? It's still a chair. That sounded a little clever. That one was intentional. She sat and placed both palms on the blue folder. I offered coffee. She asked for water, then didn't touch it after I set it in front of her. Diane called Evan Thursday, she said. I was there. She said she couldn't handle Lena being at the wedding. Couldn't or wouldn't. Does it matter? Usually. Tessa stared into the water. She cried, she said. She said it would feel like everyone was celebrating the woman who got the happy version of her marriage. Lena did not get Diane's marriage. I know that. Does Evan? I thought so. She rubbed at a spot on the folder's cover with her thumb. We talked about it for 2 hours. I said we couldn't uninvite Lena. Evan said she hadn't received the formal invitation yet, so technically she had to save the date on her refrigerator for 6 months. I know how it sounds. It sounds like stationery was assigned a moral function it couldn't perform. Tessa leaned back and looked toward the ceiling. I told him he had to talk to you, she said. The next day he told me he had. He said you understood. Lena hated big formal things anyway. And you'd both come to brunch. Lena bought a dress. The words landed harder than I intended. Tessa looked down. It's green, I added, because apparently I wanted to make sure the blade went all the way in. She said the blue one made her look like a bank manager. Tom, stop, you asked. No, I asked what Evan told you I knew. I didn't ask you to make me feel like garbage. I'm not making you feel anything. Her head came up. That's very convenient. It was. I sat across from her. You're right, I said. That was unfair. She pressed the heel of her hand against one eye. I have spent 11 months trying to make one day work for people who don't even like the same color roses. My mother thinks Diane is controlling. Diane thinks my mother chews too loudly. Brooke changes every decision after I make it, and Evan says yes to everyone, then tells me he'll fix it later. You were the only person who never made anything harder. There it was, offered as praise. I folded my hands on the table. What did that cost me? I asked. Tessa looked toward the back door, at Lena's slippers. I didn't think, she said. Neither did I, for a long time. The tires on Evan's car crunched over the driveway. Tessa straightened. Did you call him? No. Evan came in carrying his empty coffee cup from the morning. He saw Tessa, then the blue folder, then me. You called her? She called me. He looked at Tessa. I was coming home. You told Tom I knew Lena wasn't invited. I told him you were handling the meals. There is no meal for her to handle. I know that. Then why did you say it? Because he cornered me in the driveway. I almost looked behind myself to see if another father had been there. I asked one question, I said. Evan ignored me. Can we talk at home? We can talk here. Tess, did you tell him we all agreed? I said we were working it out. She turned to me. What did he say? That you handled it. Evan threw both hands up. It was shorthand. For what? She asked. For the whole situation. The situation where you lied to both of us? I didn't lie to you. You said you talked to him. I did talk to him. When? Before Thursday? About Lena? Not specifically. Tessa stared at him. He shoved the empty cup onto the counter. I knew how he'd react. No, I said. You said you knew I wouldn't react. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. He turned on me. You sat there yesterday and acted like you heard nothing. I was pouring coffee in my kitchen. You did the acting. Why didn't you say something then? Why didn't you? His face tightened. For a moment, he looked like he might knock the fragile candle box aside just to have something match the noise inside him. Instead, he shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. Tessa opened the blue folder and took out a printed schedule covered in yellow, highlighting and handwritten notes. The rehearsal dinner is Friday at 6:30, she said. The hall is booked for another event. My parents' rental is too small. The restaurant Diane suggested seats 24, not 32. So, cut 8 people, Evan said. Which 8? I don't know. Do we need all the cousins? You invited them. You wanted them. Your mother wanted them. Fine. Then Mom can figure out where to put them. That's what you said about Tom's house. You said it was handled. Evan glanced at me as though I had taught Tessa a new language while he was driving. I'm not doing this here, he said. Then take the boxes, I told him. Tessa looked at me. You're really not changing your mind. No. What if Lena gets invited? Evan's head snapped toward her. I took a second before answering. I don't want an invitation dragged out of him because he needs a dining room. So there's no way to fix it, she asked. There's a way to address it. That isn't the same thing. What does that mean? It means Evan needs to speak to Lena honestly. He needs to decide whose decision the guest list is. And whatever he decides, I need to decide what I'm willing to take part in. Evan laughed under his breath. You rehearsed that. No. I've had a long morning. This is emotional blackmail. Tessa closed the folder. No, she said. Emotional blackmail is saying you won't attend your son's wedding if his father's girlfriend is there. She's not his girlfriend, Evan said. The correction surprised me. Tessa caught it too. Then, what is she? He looked at the slippers beneath the window, the wind chime outside, the blue mug in the drying rack. Evidence everywhere. None of it admissible to whatever court he carried inside himself. I don't know, he said. That's the first honest thing you've said today, she replied. Evan picked up the heavier box. Tessa took the other before I could move. Leave the folder, he told her. I need it. For what? To find somewhere to feed 32 people. We'll do it at Mom's. Your mother's condo seats 6. She'll have ideas. Your mother is the reason we need ideas. Evan shifted the box against his chest. Can we please go home? Tessa looked at me. I'm sorry about the dinner, I said. I know it creates work for you. She nodded once. I'm sorry about Lena. Evan opened the door with his elbow. Tessa followed him out. They loaded the boxes into separate cars. That concerned me more than if they had been shouting. I called Lena after they left. She answered on the second ring. Did the Ducks organize? I asked. They've submitted demands. I told Evan the rehearsal dinner can't be here. I'm not driving guests from the hotel either. She was quiet. I'm not telling you for congratulations, I said. Good. I told him he needs to speak to you. Why? To apologize. I don't want him inviting me because he needs folding tables. I told him that. Her voice softened, but only slightly. What do you want, Tom? I want you beside me at the wedding. That's about the wedding. I want you beside me after it. The silence changed. Then we need a conversation that doesn't have centerpieces in it, she said. I know. Do you? I'm beginning to dislike that question. Good. You've been too comfortable with the answers. After we hung up, I went to the garage. The maple arch lay in sections across 2 sawhorses. One upright needed another pass with the sander. I put on my safety glasses and worked until the grain felt smooth beneath my palm. When I switched off the sander, someone spoke from the open garage door behind me. Your son tells me you've canceled his rehearsal dinner. Diane stood there in a camel-colored coat, holding her car keys like a verdict. He left out the interesting part, I said. Diane looked past me at the arch. I heard enough. That's never stopped either of us from adding detail. I'm not here to fight with you, Tom. You came into my garage on a Sunday wearing your courtroom coat. It's a coat. It has won arguments. She glanced down at it as if the camel wool had betrayed her. The coat was 15 years old and still looked new. Diane cared for clothes the way I cared for tools, clean, arranged, and returned to the exact place where they belonged. During our marriage, she had sometimes hung my jackets correctly while refusing to speak to me. I want the rehearsal dinner put back, she said. I'm sure you do. Evan and Tessa have enough pressure. Then you shouldn't have made them choose between you and Lena. Her nostrils tightened. That was the warning sign I had watched across restaurant tables, parent conferences, medical waiting rooms, and one disastrous vacation in a cabin without hot water. I did not make anyone choose. Tessa heard you. Tessa heard me say. I didn't know if I could sit through it. Evan made the decision. Did you tell him you would attend if Lena did? That isn't the point. It's close enough to wave at. Diane stepped farther into the garage. Her shoes clicked against the concrete. She looked at the sanding dust on the floor, the clamps lined along the wall, and the open coffee can where I kept short pieces of dowel. Everything in the garage had been arranged after she moved out. She still looked for the old locations. You're enjoying this, she said. I'm sanding maple. You're finally getting to be the offended one. I've had chances. But you never took them. That was always your specialty. I lifted my safety glasses onto my forehead. Evan planned to let me find out at the hotel. Yes, that was cowardly. The answer arrived so cleanly that I had nothing ready for it. Diane folded her arms. He should have told you. He should have told Lena. I said that. To whom? To him. When? Friday. He lied to Tessa on Friday. That is between Evan and Tessa. Apparently, everything is between two people until you need a dining room. Her mouth tightened again, but she did not rise to it. I am asking you to separate his mistake from the wedding, she said. Let them hold the dinner here. We will find another solution for Lena. We? The family. Lena is not a plumbing problem. I didn't say she was. You said solution. Diane walked to the arch and ran 2 fingers over the curved top section. This needs more sanding, I know. You always leave one side rough until the end. It helps me remember which side I'm working on. She brushed the dust from her fingers. It was such an old exchange that for a second the last 14 years folded up like a card table. Then she said, You didn't want her at Brooke's 40th. I stared at her. What? You told Brooke you thought it would be better if Lena skipped the family dinner because Michael would be there. Michael was Diane's husband. He was a decent man with excellent posture and a talent for making restaurant servers feel they were being interviewed. He had been in Evan and Brooke's lives for 9 years. I told Brooke I didn't want Lena put at the far end of the table while everyone else took family pictures. That isn't what Brooke heard. Did Brooke tell you that? She didn't have to. Lena didn't come. She had a migraine. Diane gave me a look. What? I said. You believe that? She said she had a migraine. She wore a dress, did her hair, sat in your living room while you tied your shoes, and then developed a migraine before dinner. I offered to stay home, and she told you to go. Yes, of course she did. She was making it easy for you. The words landed because they were true enough to find something soft. I took off my safety glasses and set them beside the sander. This isn't Brooke's birthday, I said. No. At Brooke's birthday, Lena removed herself before anyone had to do it for her. I didn't ask her to. You didn't have to. You've built an entire life around people anticipating what you won't say. That sounded like something Lena might have said if she had wanted to hurt me more precisely. Diane saw it reach me. For once, she did not look pleased. I'm not saying this is all your fault, she said. That's generous. I'm saying Evan did not invent this arrangement in one phone call. He grew up watching us. He grew up watching you issue terms. He grew up watching me say what I wanted, whether anyone else could live with it or not. And he watched you give in, then act superior because you hadn't raised your voice. The garage seemed to shrink around us. Diane took off her coat and laid it over the back of the old wooden chair near my workbench. Beneath it, she wore a cream sweater and dark slacks. She looked less like a verdict and more like the woman who used to sit on the bathroom floor with me when one of us had food poisoning, passing a glass of water back and forth because we owned only one we liked. I know how this looks, she said. Do you? Yes, Tom. I'm not stupid. I've never thought you were. You thought I was difficult. You were difficult. So were you. You just made people dig for it. I leaned against the workbench. She looked at the arch again. Do you know what Evan said when I told him I couldn't handle seeing you and Lena together all weekend? No. He said, Dad won't care? The words struck differently in her voice. Diane rubbed her thumb over a pale mark on her palm. She had gotten that scar opening a can of peaches the first year we were married. I drove her to urgent care with a dish towel wrapped around her hand, while she criticized my route. I told him that was cruel, she said. He said you'd understand. He said you always understand. And you let him use that. Yes. The admission sat between us. Why? I asked. Her eyes moved toward the open garage door. Because I wanted one day, she said. One day where I didn't have to sit across from the proof that you learned how to be happy after me. I let out a breath. Lena isn't proof of anything about you. That's easy for you to say. It's true. You take her dancing. She likes dancing. I like dancing. You criticize every place I took you. You took me to bars with peanut shells on the floor. They had music. They had tetanus. I laughed before I could stop myself. So did she. It lasted only a second, but it was real. And that made what followed harder. I asked you to dance in our living room once, Diane said. Do you remember? No, I do. The garage clock ticked above the pegboard. It was 5 minutes slow. I had been meaning to fix it for 6 years. You were repairing the cabinet hinge, she continued. I put on that Otis Redding song. I held out my hand. You said you'd be there in a minute. I looked at the sander, though there was nothing to see. You never came. I probably forgot. I know. There was no accusation in those 2 words. That was worse too. I'm sorry, I said. Diane nodded. She did not forgive me. She did not have to. Then she reached for her coat. But none of that makes Lena responsible, I said. Her shoulders went rigid. You think I don't know that? I think knowing hasn't stopped you. She pulled the coat on. This is my son's wedding. He's my son too. And for once, he is asking you to put him first. No, he's asking me to make his decision painless. He is trying to keep his mother at his wedding by removing someone who hasn't done anything to him. She has a choice. So do you. Diane buttoned the coat from the bottom up, another old habit. If Lena comes, I won't, she said. There it was without Evan to soften it. I waited for the familiar machinery inside me to start. Calculate the least painful route, offer brunch, offer separate photographs. Promise Lena we would leave early. Tell myself one day did not define anything. The machinery started. I switched it off. I want you there, I said, but I won't ask her to stay away. Diane's face changed. Not anger at first. Surprise. You're choosing her. I'm refusing to choose for Evan. That's the same thing. No, you can polish the words all you like. I'm not polishing anything. She looked toward the arch. You'll finish that. I said I would. And the benches? Yes. So you'll build everything they stand under, but you'll take away the room where their families are supposed to come together. My home is not neutral territory when you're asking the woman in it to disappear. She doesn't live here. The words left her mouth, and her gaze dropped at once to Lena's slippers near the interior door. Diane had never entered my kitchen that morning. She hadn't seen the blue mug or the cleared table. Still, she knew. No, I said. She doesn't? Something in my answer made Diane study me. She bought the house, didn't she? I shouldn't have been surprised. Brooke might have mentioned it, Evan might have, or Diane had simply noticed Lena touring the place and understood before I did. The inspection was Friday. And you haven't agreed to go. We're discussing it. Diane's laugh held no pleasure. You're waiting until after the wedding. I said nothing. You haven't changed nearly as much as I thought. She turned and walked toward the driveway. Diane. She stopped but did not face me. You don't have to stay away from the wedding. Yes, she said. I do. No. You want to. She looked back then. For years I had believed the difference between us was that Diane enjoyed conflict and I didn't. Standing in my garage with sawdust on my sleeves, I understood that neither of us enjoyed it. She entered conflict early, so she could control how it hurt. I avoided it until someone else had to carry the pain. I'll tell Evan my decision, she said. Tell him it's yours. Her chin lifted. You don't get to instruct me on honesty? No. But he deserves some. She left without slamming anything. Diane never slammed doors. She shut them firmly enough that you understood they could remain closed forever. I stood in the garage until her car was gone, then lowered my safety glasses and switched the sander back on. The maple blurred beneath my hand. After several passes, I shut off the machine and ran my fingers along the wood. I had sanded one shallow hollow into the curve, not enough to ruin it, but enough that I would have to feather the surrounding area to make it disappear. I had been doing this work too long to make that mistake. My phone buzzed on the workbench. Evan had sent a message. Mom says she's not coming if Lena is there. I hope proving your point was worth it. A second message appeared before I could answer. Tessa says she's not discussing the guest list with me today. Then a third. Everyone was fine until you decided not to be. I read the messages twice. My first response was 3 paragraphs long. I deleted it. My second was 1 sentence. Your mother made her own decision. I deleted that too. In the end, I wrote, I did not ask her to stay away. Evan replied almost immediately. You knew she would. That one I left unanswered. I returned to the arch, but the shallow hollow caught the overhead light no matter how carefully I feathered the edges. Maple remembers pressure. Take too much from one place, and the only repair is to take a little from everything around it until the mistake looks intentional. I was reaching for a finer sanding block when Brooke's SUV pulled into the driveway. She parked behind my truck and sat for a moment with both hands on the wheel. Brooke did most things at speed, so hesitation looked unnatural on her. At 40, she had Diane's dark eyes, my square hands, and an organizing instinct powerful enough to turn a casual lunch into assigned seating. She came into the garage carrying a white bakery bag. I brought muffins, she said. That bad? I also have scones. Somebody die? Not yet. She set the bag on the workbench and looked over the arch sections. Mom called me. I assumed the scones had a sponsor. Evan called too. Were they on a conference line? Separate complaints, similar themes. I opened the bag. Blueberry muffins, cranberry scones, and one cheese Danish. Brooke had remembered the Danish. She always remembered what people liked, then acted irritated when they liked it. Coffee? I asked. I've had 3 cups. So, yes. We went into the kitchen. Brooke slowed when she saw the table cleared and the wedding boxes gone. Where's everything? Evan and Tessa took it. All of it? The dried flowers may have colonized the umbrella stand. She checked the hall, found 2 brittle stems on the floor, and picked them up. You could have left those for later. They were shedding. They're dried. Shedding is their entire job. She dropped them in the trash and sat at the table while I made coffee. She took the chair Lena had used the night before. I nearly asked her to move, which would have been ridiculous. A chair did not become loyal because someone cried beside it. You heard us yesterday, Brooke said. I heard Evan. You heard me ask about Lena. Yes. She wrapped both hands around the mug I gave her. I didn't know you were in the room. I was 6 feet away. I was on the phone. You didn't know I was 6 feet from his end of it. No, but you knew Lena hadn't been told. Brooke stared into her coffee. He said he was going to handle it. That phrase is having a difficult weekend. I told him it was wrong. When? Thursday night, Friday morning, yesterday when I called, and then you sent him the final count without her. It wasn't my guest list. You maintained it. I was helping. So was I. She looked at me. You're angry. I am. You don't look angry? I've had that complaint. Dad. What would help? Should I throw the Danish? Her mouth tightened, fighting a smile. She lost. No, she said. I want it. I slid the plate toward her. Brooke tore the Danish in half, ate one corner, then began pulling apart the layers without finishing any of them. She had done that since she was old enough to choose her own pastry. Mom didn't tell Evan to uninvite Lena, she said. She told me herself she won't attend if Lena does. That isn't the same thing. It seems designed to achieve the same result. She's hurt. So is Lena. I know. Do you? She dropped a strip of pastry onto the plate. Can everybody stop asking me that? I was asked it twice last night. I thought it might be a family greeting. I'm not Mom, I know, and I'm not Evan. I know that too. But you're treating us like one big conspiracy. I'm trying to understand how 3 adults knew Lena was being removed from a wedding, and nobody spoke to either of us. I told you. Evan said he would. And when he didn't? I didn't know he hadn't. You could have called, so could you. I didn't know. You knew something was strange at the hall. Yesterday. You knew Thursday. Brooke pushed back from the table. Fine, I should have called. I should have inserted myself into another fight between you and Mom, because that's always gone so well for me. This wasn't a fight between me and your mother. Everything is a fight between you and Mom. The rest of us just get assigned uniforms. The kitchen clock clicked from 11:29 to 11:30. Brooke got up, took her mug to the counter, then did not put it in the sink. She held it with both hands while facing the window. Do you know what Mom asked me? She said. She asked me to convince you the rehearsal dinner had nothing to do with Lena. It has everything to do with Lena. I know. Evan asked me to convince you it was Tessa's idea to cut the cousins so the dinner would fit at a restaurant. Is it? No, Tessa said, if anybody gets cut, she's canceling the rehearsal dinner completely. That sounds like Tessa. Alan asked me why I answered the phone. Alan continues to impress me. She turned. I don't want to be in the middle. Then get out. Brooke's face sharpened. You don't get to say that like it's simple. It is simple. Tell them you won't carry messages. And when Mom cries, let her cry. And when Evan says you've destroyed his wedding, tell him to call me. And when you don't answer, I answered him this morning. You sent 1 sentence. He sent 3. That isn't a conversation. No, it's arithmetic. She set the mug down. This is what you do. You wait until everyone else has said too much. Then you say one calm thing and act like you're the only adult in the room. I leaned back against the counter. Brooke's chest rose and fell. She looked startled by her own volume. Say the rest, I told her. I don't know what the rest is. Yes, you do. She crossed her arms. When you and Mom split up, you wouldn't fight, she said. Everyone told me how dignified you were. Do you know what dignified looked like from where I stood? I waited. It looked like Mom calling me at midnight to explain why you were wrong. It looked like Evan calling me the next morning to ask if you were coming to dinner because neither of you would talk to him. It looked like me deciding where everybody sat and who arrived first and whether we could invite Michael without you leaving early. I never asked you to do that. That's the problem. You never asked. You just showed up when somebody told you it was safe. Her words filled the kitchen more completely than all the wedding boxes had. I walked to the table and sat across from her. "I'm sorry," I said. Brooke shook her head. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Say it that quietly." "I don't know how else to say it." "Get defensive. Tell me I was 26 and nobody forced me. Tell me Mom made it impossible. Would that help?" "No." "Then I won't." She looked away, angry that I had refused the fight she thought she needed. I understood that. Diane had accused me of making people dig for my difficulty. Sometimes a clean argument was kinder than giving someone nothing to push against. "You were 26, I said. "You were old enough to tell us both to go to hell." Brooke glanced at me. "But you shouldn't have had to," I continued. "I saw you handling things and told myself you were good at it. I didn't ask what it cost because your competence was convenient." Her eyes filled. "Better?" I asked. "A little?" "Good." "Because I hated saying it." She laughed once and wiped beneath her eye with the side of her thumb. I cut the remaining half of the Danish and ate it before she could object. That was mine. Conflict is healthy. "You're not funny enough for this new personality. I'm still calibrating." She sat again. For several minutes, we ate in silence. The scones remained untouched. Scones were the food equivalent of bringing back up nobody wanted. "Lena really had a migraine at my birthday?" Brooke asked. "She said she did." "Did you ask if it had anything to do with the seating?" "No, I put her beside Aunt Carol. Aunt Carol spit on people when she says words with P." "I know. Why did you put Lena there?" "Mom wanted Michael in the front family section. There wasn't room for everybody. There was room for Alan. He's my husband. And Lena is what?" Brooke looked toward the blue mug in the drying rack. "I don't know what you want me to say. The truth would be fashionable this week. I knew she didn't have a migraine. That hurt more than I expected." "She called me before the dinner," Brooke continued. "She said she wasn't feeling well. Then she asked me not to move anybody around because of her. I knew what she was doing, and you let her. Yes. Why? Because if Lena came, Mom would have spent the whole night tracking where she stood in every picture. Michael would have tried too hard to be friendly. You would have disappeared into the kitchen. Lena would have taken care of you, and then I would have felt guilty on my own birthday. So, the easiest thing was for her not to be there. Yes." Brooke looked ashamed, but she did not take it back. That mattered. "You should tell her," I said. "I know. Not today. Today it will sound like you're apologizing to get the rehearsal dinner back. Are you ever going to put it back?" "No." She sighed. "I promised I'd ask." "You asked." "Mom also wants to know if Lena has actually been invited now." "She hasn't." Brooke frowned. "Then what are we doing? I'm not sure Evan knows yet." "Dad, the wedding is in 3 weeks. I'm familiar with the schedule. This can't stay suspended forever. It has been 1 day. In wedding time, that's a fiscal quarter." She finished her coffee, then followed me into the garage. The hollow in the arch caught her eye almost immediately. "You oversanded that." "I'm aware. You never oversand." "Growth." She took off her sweater, folded it over the courtroom chair Diane had used for her coat, and rolled up her sleeves. Underneath, she wore a black t-shirt with a smear of dried flour near the hem. "Give me the fine block," she said. "You'll ruin your nails. They're already ruined. They look expensive." They were. I handed her the block. She held the curve steady while I feathered the surrounding wood. We worked without speaking, trading places twice to check the angle beneath the light. Brooke had helped me build bookshelves for her first apartment. Her hands remembered where to press. When the hollow no longer caught my fingertips, she wiped the dust away. "There," she said, "still shallow. So is most wedding decor. It survives." I set the sanding block down. Brooke put her sweater back on, then stood beside the open garage door. "Evan isn't angry because you chose Lena," she said. "He seems angry. He is. But that isn't the part scaring him. What is?" She looked toward the street where his car had disappeared earlier. "He thinks you finally decided something was worth making the family uncomfortable for." Her eyes returned to mine. "And he can't remember you ever doing that for him." I looked down at the repaired curve. "He was 22 when we divorced. He wasn't finished needing you. I didn't think he was. You acted like it." Brooke leaned against the garage door frame. The sunlight caught sawdust on her black shirt. When he finished the business program, she said, he saved you a seat at the dinner. Your mother told me he didn't want me there. I know. She said the restaurant had one long table. She said Michael was coming, and Evan didn't want tension. Mom said that to all of us. Evan never asked you not to come. My hands went cold despite the warm garage. He told her it was fine. After she said you had already decided not to attend. I remembered that evening. I had bought Evan a bottle of good bourbon and written a card in the parking lot because I had forgotten to do it at home. I delivered both to his apartment the next afternoon. He thanked me, told me the dinner had been nice, and never mentioned the empty seat. He said it was fine, I repeated. What else was he supposed to say? He could have told me he wanted me there. Brooke flinched. It was not dramatic. Just a small tightening around her eyes, but I heard my own words after they left my mouth. The child, adult or otherwise, was expected to issue the invitation twice, while the father needed only one excuse. I could have asked him, I said. Yes. Did he talk about it afterward? To me? What did he say? Brooke hesitated. I'm asking now. He said you always let Mom win. That wasn't what I was trying to do. He didn't know what you were trying to do. That was the point. I walked to the workbench and brushed maple dust into my palm. There was nowhere useful to put it. I dropped it into the trash. Why didn't you tell me? I thought he had. Everyone in this family thinks someone else is going to handle the conversation. You taught us that. She regretted it immediately. I could see her preparing to soften the sentence, so I raised a hand. Leave it, I said. She nodded. A car passed on the street, music thumping through closed windows. Somewhere 2 houses over, a leaf blower started with the determination of farm equipment and the effect of an angry hairdryer. Mom wasn't wrong about everything, Brooke said. I know. She did most of the emotional work when we were growing up. I know. You fix things. I know that too. She could be impossible, careful. Your mother might feel a disturbance in the atmosphere. Brooke smiled faintly. But she showed up loud, she said. You showed up quiet. When you stopped coming, it was easier to notice. I picked up the fine sanding block. You should go, I said. Her face fell. Not because I'm angry. You said you don't want to be in the middle. Go home to Alan. Turn off your phone. Mom will drive over. Alan can pretend you joined the circus. He'd sell tickets. He'd make a good manager. She stepped out onto the driveway, then turned. Call Evan. I did. No, you sent him a sentence. Call him. If he answers. He might not, I gathered. That doesn't mean you stop. I almost told her I knew that. The words reached the back of my teeth and stayed there. All right, I said. She left with the scones, and without the Danish. I called Evan before I could turn the request into something I would do later. The call rang 6 times, then went to voicemail. It's me, I said. That was not a promising start, but he had caller ID. I want to talk about the business school dinner. Brooke told me you saved a seat. Your mother told me you asked me not to come. I should have called you. I should have come unless you told me yourself not to. I looked at the arch. I'm sorry. Call me. I hung up before I could explain the apology until there was nothing left for him to receive. He did not call that afternoon. He did not call that evening. At 10:13, he sent a text. Not doing this by phone, I replied, tell me when. No answer came. The next morning, I loaded cut braces, bolts, washers, and my drill into the truck. The air had turned sharp overnight. When I reached the Grange Hall, Tessa's car was parked beside the shed, straight this time. She was inside arranging artificial candles along a windowsill. I recognized them because they had been in my kitchen less than 24 hours earlier. I thought the boxes were going home, I said. Evan's trunk is home now. That happens. He couldn't carry them into the apartment because his back hurt. He carried one box 20 feet. His injury may be spiritual. I smiled. Tessa did not. She put the candle down and folded her arms. The hotel has a conference room available for the rehearsal dinner. That's good. It holds 28. That's less good. It also costs $900. That's considerably less good. The restaurant can do 30 if we use 2 separate tables. I thought the point was bringing the families together. I'm beginning to see the weakness in that concept. She picked up another candle, inspected its plastic flame, and set it beside the first. The spacing was exactly even. Diane withdrew from the flower setup, she said. I'm sorry. She said if she isn't attending, it would be inappropriate. Your mother's still helping? My mother offered. But she thinks baby's breath is lazy. Is it? Apparently it knows what it did. She looked at me, and this time the laugh arrived. It sounded unwilling, but healthy. I carried the braces to the shed. Tessa followed with the keys. The benches looked worse in daylight. The third one, the original wobbler, had a split near the center support that I had missed. I set my tool bag down and crouched. "You're still fixing them?" Tessa said. I said I would. "You canceled the dinner. I hadn't promised to feed 32 people until after they excluded Lena. But you had promised before you found out. That's true. Why does one promise stay and the other doesn't?" I ran my thumb along the split. "Because people could get hurt if these fail. People are already hurt. I don't have a drill bit for that. You know what I mean?" "Yes." She stood in the doorway while I removed the bad screws from the center support. "I'm angry with you," she said. "I know. I believe you have a right to be angry too. Those can coexist. I wish they'd coexist somewhere other than my wedding. I backed out the last screw. It had rusted nearly through. Did Evan tell you about his graduation dinner?" I asked. "He told me years ago." "What did he say?" Tessa crouched beside me, careful not to let her sweatshirt touch the dusty floor. "He said his father didn't come because his mother would be uncomfortable. He thought I knew he wanted me there. He thought you didn't care enough to ask." I set the drill down. "Is that what he says about me?" "Not usually." "What does he usually say?" "That you're easy." The word was meant kindly. That was how it hurt. Tessa reached into my tool bag and handed me the socket wrench before I asked. "When we met," she said, "I thought he meant relaxed. Then I started noticing that when your family says someone is easy, they mean they've already decided what he'll give up. You noticed before I did. I also let him lie to me because the lie made my week easier. You believed him. I wanted to." She held the new brace while I marked the bolt holes. "Why?" I asked. "Because if you had agreed, then I didn't have to decide whether I'd marry someone who uninvited a woman to keep his mother happy." The pencil stopped in my hand. "That's a large question to hang on a chair." "It isn't about the chair, no." She moved her fingers out of the way while I drilled. Wood curled from the bit in pale ribbons. Tessa brushed them from her knee. "Are you reconsidering the wedding?" I asked. "I'm reconsidering a lot of things. Does Evan know?" "He knows I'm upset." "That isn't what I asked." She looked at me. "You don't get to use honesty as a weapon just because you discovered it Saturday." That was fair enough to leave a mark. I drilled the second hole. "Evan and I have built a life together," she continued. "He is generous. He makes me laugh when I'm trying very hard not to. He drove 4 hours in the middle of the night when my father had chest pain, then sat in a hospital chair for 11 hours without complaining. He can also turn into a hallway when 2 people need him to be a door. That sounds familiar?" "Yes." We bolted the brace in place and moved to the next bench. Tessa proved good with a wrench. She tightened until the washer sat, flush, then stopped before crushing the wood. I asked where she learned. "My mother," she said. "My father can't assemble a lamp without involving prayer." By noon, we had repaired 4 benches. My knees objected every time I stood. Tessa did not mention it, which I appreciated. A car door closed outside. Evan appeared in the shed entrance carrying a paper sack from a sandwich place. He looked at Tessa holding the wrench and me on the floor beside her. "I thought you were doing decorations," he said. "I was. You didn't answer my messages? I was using both hands." He lifted the sack. "I brought lunch." "For whom?" "All of us." Tessa looked at me. "I like lunch," I said. Evan's mouth almost moved. We ate inside the hall at one of the folding tables. Evan had remembered my order: roast beef, mustard, no tomato. He had forgotten napkins. Tessa found a roll of paper towels beneath the sink and tore off 3 uneven sheets. Nobody spoke for the first few minutes. The old refrigerator in the hall kitchen kicked on with a loud shudder. Evan opened his sandwich, closed it, then opened it again. "Brooke talked to you," he said. "Yes." She had no right. "To tell me you wanted me at your dinner, to drag up something from 8 years ago because she's angry about the wedding." "Are you?" He looked at his sandwich. "Were you waiting for me that night?" I asked. Tessa stopped eating. Evan pushed his chair back. "This isn't the place. You said you didn't want to do it by phone. I didn't say I wanted to do it here, then tell me where." He stood and carried his untouched sandwich to the trash. "My apartment," he said. "When?" He looked at Tessa. She held his gaze without helping him. "Tonight," he said. 7. "I'll be there." "No." His eyes came back to me. I'll come to your house. Then he walked outside, leaving the paper sack and his keys on the table. Tessa picked up the keys. He does that when he wants somebody to follow him, she said. Neither of us moved. 30 seconds later, Evan returned. He stood in the doorway with one hand extended. My keys. Tessa slid them across the table. I thought you wanted somebody to follow you. I thought I had them. That's less meaningful. He took the keys and looked at her. Are you coming home? When we finish. You don't have to fix benches. I know. His eyes moved to me. 7, he said. I heard you. He left again. This time we heard his car start. Tessa unwrapped the other half of her sandwich. He's going to be angry that I stayed. Are you staying because it'll make him angry? No. Good. I'm staying because these benches are the only part of the wedding that currently makes sense. They'll disappoint you eventually. We finished 2 more. Around 3, Tessa loaded the artificial candles into her car. I gave her the remaining braces and told her not to let anyone install them with drywall screws. What kind should they use? None. I'll be back Wednesday. You don't trust anyone else. I've met the committee. She closed the trunk, then rested both hands on it. When he comes tonight, don't make him defend Diane. I'm not planning to. He'll do it anyway. Probably. She's easier to defend than himself. I looked at Tessa. That sounds informed. She shrugged. I'm marrying him. The sentence did not sound as certain as it had 2 days earlier. On the drive home, I stopped at the grocery store and bought coffee I did not need. I also bought cream, though Evan had left his cup untouched that morning. At home, I carried everything wedding-related that remained in the hall into the dining room. 2 dried stems, 1 roll of ribbon, and a plastic bag of miniature clothespins had escaped the boxes. I put them together on a chair. Then I moved them back to the kitchen. I did not want Evan thinking I had staged the room to make a point. Then I realized moving them back was also staging the room to make a point. I put them in the pantry and shut the door. At 5:30, Lena called. How was the bench uprising? She asked. Contained. Casualties, 1 sandwich. That's how it starts. I sat at the kitchen table. Evan's coming over at 7. You sound nervous. I'm 68. I don't get nervous. I develop digestive concerns. Do you want me there? The question surprised me. Yes, I said, then corrected myself. No. I want you here, but I think I need to do this alone. Good answer. I didn't know there was one. There usually isn't. I traced the light rectangle on the tabletop with my fingertip. Brooke told me something, I said. 8 years ago, Evan wanted me at his graduation dinner. Diane told me he didn't. Did that surprise you, that he wanted me there? That you believed Diane instead of asking him? I did not answer. Tom, I'm not trying to pile on. You're all very good at it for amateurs. I'm serious. So am I. She was quiet for a moment. Don't make tonight about defending me, she said. It is about you. No. The wedding part is. Whatever happened between you and Evan started before you met me. I know. If you use me as the reason you finally say everything, he'll hear that I'm the reason you waited. That's irritatingly perceptive. I've been dating you for 7 years. I needed a hobby. We hung up at 6. Evan arrived at 7:23. I had not called when he was late. That felt either mature or manipulative. I could not tell anymore. He came through the back door carrying nothing. He had changed into a navy sweater and jeans, as if clothes could make the conversation less connected to sawdust. Coffee? I asked. No, I have cream. I'm not staying long. He sat at the table anyway. I poured a cup for myself and left the room at the top. For a while, neither of us spoke. The refrigerator hummed. The battery clock above the stove advanced 1 click at a time. Evan looked at the clean tabletop, then at the pantry door. Where's all the wedding stuff? Mostly in your trunk? Right. I sat across from him. I'm sorry I didn't come to your dinner, I said. His jaw tightened. Brooke already told you. She told me you saved a seat. That was 8 years ago. Yes. You called me over here to apologize for something neither of us has discussed in 8 years? I called you Sunday. You chose tonight. I didn't think this was what you wanted to discuss. What did you think? The rehearsal. Lena. Mom. We can discuss those too. He leaned back and crossed his arms. Great. Your mother told me you asked me not to attend. I should have called you. I should have come unless I heard from you directly. You could have come anyway. Yes. There were 80 people in that restaurant. You and Mom wouldn't have been sitting together. I didn't know that. You didn't ask? No. He looked toward the window. Darkness had turned it into a reflection of the kitchen. I kept the chair open through appetizers, he said. The calm way he said it cut deeper than accusation. Brooke told me. Of course she did. Don't be angry with her for telling me what you wouldn't. I wasn't hiding it. It stopped mattering. It mattered enough to save the chair. For 40 minutes. How long did you want me to wait before asking? His eyes came back to mine. I don't know, he said. Neither did I. That's why I never asked. That doesn't make sense. It does to me. I thought if you wanted me somewhere badly enough, you'd say it. You thought if I wanted to be there badly enough, I'd come. We both made your mother the person who got to translate. She was the only one talking. That was true. I should have talked, I said. Evan rubbed his thumb against the edge of the table. Why didn't you? I told myself I was keeping things peaceful. For who? Mostly me. His hand stopped. There are apologies that seek forgiveness and apologies that seek control. For years, mine had been the second kind. I said sorry quickly before anyone could describe the full damage, then offered a practical repair. A ride, a check, a fixed cabinet. The apology became the price of ending the conversation. This time, I kept my mouth shut. Evan shifted in his chair. Mom was impossible after the divorce, he said. Yes. She called all the time. She told me things I didn't want to know. I'm sorry, but she called. I let that sit. You sent me emails, he continued, long ones, links to articles. A recipe once. It was for chili. I know what it was. You said you wanted it. I wanted you to ask if I was okay. I thought you didn't want to talk about the divorce. I didn't. I wanted you to ask. I looked down at my coffee. I should have. You keep saying that. Would you like me to stop? No. He gave a short, humorless laugh. I don't know. He stood, walked to the counter, and took the cup I had placed there for him, without admitting I had placed it there. He added cream and leaned against the sink. Lena gets all of it, he said. All of what? You go places with her. You dance. Your mother mentioned the dancing. She has pictures online. Not Mom. Lena. I know who you meant. You went to Nashville with her. 3 years ago. You used to hate traveling. I used to hate traveling with itineraries that began at 5 in the morning. You took her to see that band in St. Louis. She bought the tickets. You drove 6 hours. 5. He looked at me over the cup. You came home from my graduation because Mom said dinner might be uncomfortable. You drove 5 hours because Lena bought concert tickets. There was no answer that could make those facts line up kindly. I changed, I said. That's convenient? Yes. He blinked, not expecting agreement. I wish I'd changed earlier, I said. I wish you had gotten more of it. I don't want more dancing. That's a relief. I'm not good. I mean, I don't want whatever version of you she built. She didn't build it. Then where was it? In the garage, apparently. Don't, sorry. He set the cup down hard enough for coffee to jump onto the counter. You always do that, he said. You make a joke right when something gets close. I know. And now you've decided you're done being quiet because of her. No. Come on, I heard you tell Brooke I wouldn't notice. That's why I spoke now. You waited until after I left. I asked you directly in the driveway. You lied. Because I knew this would happen. What is this? You making me choose. I did not tell Mom to stay home. You knew she would. I wanted her to come. But you wanted Lena more. I wanted you to make your own guest list. It is my guest list. Then whose decision was it? He stared at me. Mom's feelings matter, he said. Yes. Lena is not my mother. No, she isn't my family. She doesn't have to be your mother or your family for you to treat her honestly. I was trying to get through one day by making sure the person least likely to object was the one who paid for it. You mean you. I mean Lena. His face changed. That was the part he had avoided. He had made the plan around my silence, but Lena would be the one sitting at home in a green dress she never got to wear. He looked down at the coffee on the counter and wiped it with his thumb. When I said you wouldn't notice, he said, I didn't mean you literally wouldn't know. I assumed. I meant you wouldn't do anything. I know. The words made him wince. I stood and took a paper towel from the roll, but I did not wipe the spill for him. I placed it on the counter between us. Was that punishment? I asked. He frowned. What? Leaving Lena out. Was it punishment? For who? Me? He opened his mouth, then closed it. Outside, a car passed slowly, headlights moving across the ceiling. I wanted Mom at the wedding, he said. That isn't an answer. It's the only one I have. No, it's the safest one. His phone buzzed on the table. Tessa's name lit the screen. He did not pick it up. I don't know what you want from me, he said. I want you to call Lena and say what? The truth. That Mom doesn't want her there? That you chose not to invite her? Your mother did not remove her name. You did. He looked toward the back door, where Lena's slippers waited beneath the window. If I invite her now, Mom won't come. That's possible. And if I don't, you won't. I haven't said that. You canceled the dinner. I canceled the use of my house. Same thing. No. To me, it is. His phone stopped buzzing. I need you to tell me what to do, he said. It was the first time all evening his voice sounded young. I wanted to. Every part of me trained by fatherhood and guilt wanted to give him the answer. Accept the blame, call Diane, call Lena, find a shape where nobody lost more than they could tolerate. I can't, I said. His face hardened almost at once. Right, he said. Because now you're teaching me boundaries. No, because the next lie will be saying, I made you choose. He picked up his phone and pushed away from the counter. At the door, he stopped. For what it's worth, he said, without turning. I didn't leave her off because I don't like her. Why did you? His hand tightened around the knob. Because she got the father I kept waiting for. Then he left before I could tell him she was still waiting too. The coffee he left behind was still warm. I stood at the back door with my hand on the lock, listening to his car disappear. Then I went to the counter and wiped up the spill. The paper towel I had set between us remained untouched. I nearly called him. Instead, I called Lena. What happened? She asked. How do you know something happened? You don't call twice in one evening because you suddenly miss my voice. I do miss your voice. Flattery after 65 has to be more specific. I miss the way you say, tetanus. Better? What happened? Can I come over? She was quiet for a moment. Yes. Lena lived in a second-floor apartment above a dentist's office. At night, the parking lot smelled faintly of mint from the vent behind the building. I had teased her about it when she moved in. She said it was better than living above a seafood restaurant, which was difficult to argue with. She opened the door wearing soft gray pants and an old college sweatshirt. A strip of packing tape was stuck to her left sleeve. You started packing, I said. I packed books. There were 4 sealed boxes beside the bookcase and 6 empty spaces on the shelves. The rest of the apartment looked exactly as it had for years. A green throw across the couch, 2 plants in the window, a ceramic bowl near the door where she kept keys, receipts, and loose peppermints she never ate. Tea? She asked. I had coffee. That wasn't the question. Tea. She filled the kettle. I leaned against the counter and watched her take down 2 mugs. Neither was blue. Evan came over, I said. I assumed. We talked. That was the hope. He told me why he left you off the list. Lena set the mugs down. Diane. Not exactly. Me. She turned to face me. I told her what he had said. Not every sentence. I left out some of the anger that belonged to Evan and me, but I gave her the part about the graduation dinner, the concerts, Nashville, and the father he believed she had received. The kettle began to hiss. Lena turned it off before it whistled. I didn't get a father, she said. I know. No, I don't think you do. She poured the water. I got a man who checks his phone during dinner, if Diane has called twice. I got a man who spends 3 days choosing a birthday gift for his son and then tells me it's just something small so he won't look hurt if Evan doesn't call. I got a man who can rebuild my back steps but needs 6 weeks to answer whether he wants to go away for a weekend. That cabin had questionable reviews. The cabin was fine. There were comments about the shower pressure. Tom. I know. She handed me a mug. The tea smelled like lemon and something medicinal. I'm not saying you haven't changed, she said. You have. I wouldn't be here if you hadn't. Technically, I'm here. You know what I mean? Yes. But I didn't receive some completed version of you. We've worked for what we have. I know that too. Then don't let Evan turn me into the thief who took the good years. I didn't. You told him I made you happy? No? Why not? The question caught me with the cup halfway to my mouth. It didn't come up. It came up enough for him to list our vacations. He follows you online. He likes every third photograph. I think he has a system. I set the tea on her counter. I didn't defend you because you told me not to make the conversation about defending you. That is annoyingly literal. I've had a difficult week. It's Monday. That supports my point. She leaned back against the sink. Did he apologize? She asked. No. Did you? Yes. For what? The graduation dinner. For letting his mother translate. For not asking. Did it help? No. Good. I looked at her. If one apology fixed 8 years, she said, you'd use it like wood filler. I don't use wood filler. Exactly. You'd become unbearable. I picked up the mug again. Brooke told me about your migraine. Lena's expression stilled. Which one? Her 40th. Oh, you didn't have one. I had the beginning of one. Diane said you dressed, did your hair, and sat in my living room while I tied my shoes. Diane was there. She reconstructed it. That woman could investigate a sneeze. Brooke knew too. Lena nodded. You knew they knew? I knew Brooke knew. Did you think I knew? I thought you understood. The same word again. Understand. Our family used it when we wanted silence to look informed. I didn't, I said. Would it have changed anything? Yes. She studied me. Back then? She asked. I wanted to answer quickly. Quick answers were usually the ones designed for the person saying them. I don't know, I said. Lena looked away. I wish it would have, I added. That's honest? Is that good? It's lonely. I moved closer, but I did not touch her until she reached for my hand. I'm sorry, I said. For the birthday? For every time you had to develop a migraine so I could avoid a conversation. I chose that too. You shouldn't have had to. Neither should Brooke. I'm getting that from several directions. She squeezed my fingers once. We carried the tea to the couch. One of the empty bookshelves faced us like missing teeth. When do you close on the house? I asked. 12 days? That soon? I told you the date. You said the 18th. That's 12 days. I know how calendars work. You asked. I rested my elbows on my knees. Do you still want me to come with you? To the closing? To the house. Lena put her cup on the table. I want you to want to. I do. Because Evan hurt you? No. Because you're afraid I'll leave? Yes. Her eyebrow lifted. And because I love you, I said. Both can be true. Yes. I kept saying after the wedding because I thought moving would look like another choice against him. You moving in with me has nothing to do with Evan. I know that now. You knew it before. I understood it before. Apparently that's different. She smiled despite herself. I'm not putting your name on anything, she said. I didn't ask. I'm saying it because you'll start trying to make the house ours with receipts and hardware. I have excellent hardware. It's my house. Yes. If you live there, it will be our home. But I need one thing that doesn't wait for your family to approve it. I nodded. Come to the walkthrough Thursday, she said. No toolbox. That seems reckless. You may bring a flashlight. One flashlight? Don't negotiate yourself down to nothing. My phone rang on the coffee table. Evan. Lena looked at the screen, then at me. I answered. Dad? His voice was unsteady. What happened? Tessa left. I sat straighter. Left where? The apartment. She packed a bag. Did she say where she was going? Her parents' hotel? Is she safe? Yes. She texted me. What did she say? That she needs space. That she doesn't know if we should get married while we're lying to each other. Lena moved closer, but did not speak. What happened after you left here? I asked. I went home. I assumed that part. She asked what we talked about. I told her. All of it? Most of it? Which part did you leave out? Does that matter right now? Yes. He breathed hard into the phone. I told her you were making the invitation a condition. It isn't a condition. I told you to make your own decision. You canceled the rehearsal dinner. You already mentioned that. Tessa said I was doing it again. Doing what? Making everyone else responsible for what I choose. Lena looked down at her hands. What did you say? I asked. I told her she had agreed about Lena. Did she? She knew Mom was upset. That isn't what I asked. Why are you interrogating me? I'm asking the question, Tessa asked. He went silent. I could hear him moving around the apartment. A cabinet opened. Glass touched a counter. Can you come over? He asked. My first instinct was to say yes before he finished the sentence. My second was to ask Lena what she thought. Both belong to old habits. Yes, I said. I'll come sit with you. Can you call Tessa first? No. Dad? She asked for space. She'll answer you. That's why I shouldn't call. She thinks you're the only honest person in the family right now. That tells me she's tired. I need you to tell her I didn't mean to lie. Did you mean to tell the truth? What kind of question is that? One you can answer before I get there. I ended the call and stood. Lena picked up my coat from the chair. You're going, she said. He asked me to. I know. This isn't me choosing him over you. I know that too. She held out the coat but did not let go when I took it. Go be his father, she said. Don't become his messenger. I kissed her and left. Evan's apartment was 10 minutes away. When I arrived, the door was unlocked. I found him sitting on the kitchen floor with his back against a cabinet. Tessa's favorite yellow mug was in front of him, broken cleanly into 3 pieces. I dropped it, he said. I didn't ask. I didn't throw it. I believe you. He looked up at me. She doesn't. I crouched and picked up the handle. Don't fix it, he said. It's ceramic. You fix ceramic. Not well. He took the handle from my hand and set it beside the other pieces. For once he had asked me not to repair something, and I understood that he meant more than the mug. I sat on the floor beside him. We stayed there until the kitchen tiles went cold through my jeans. I think I ruined it, he said. Maybe? He turned to me, startled. You're supposed to say I didn't. I'm trying something new. His laugh broke in the middle. I rested my arms on my knees. If you ruined it, I said, start with what you did. Not what your mother wanted, or what I canceled, or what Tessa misunderstood. Yours. He looked at the 3 yellow pieces. I don't know how. Yes, I said. You do. He did not answer, but he stopped asking me to call her. After a while, Evan reached for the broken mug. What do I do with this? Throw it away. Tessa loves this mug. Then keep the pieces until she decides. He gathered them carefully and laid them on a dish towel. One shard had a yellow flower across it, split neatly through the center. I could glue it, he said. You told me not to. I meant you. That's usually who I am when you tell me something. He looked at me sideways. You've gotten sarcastic. I'm finding it saves time. He folded the dish towel over the pieces and placed the bundle near the toaster. The apartment had the unfinished stillness of a place where someone had left in the middle of an argument. One cabinet remained open. Tessa's shoes were missing from the mat, but one of her scarves hung from a hook beside the door. On the refrigerator, a wedding countdown card said, 19 days in thick black marker. Did she say she's canceling? I asked. No. Did she say she isn't? No. What did she say exactly? He handed me his phone. I did not take it. Read it. He looked at the screen. I love you. I need to be somewhere else tonight. I can't marry you while you're making other people carry your decisions and calling that peace. Please don't come to the hotel. I'll call tomorrow. That's clear. She said she loves me. Yes. She also said she can't marry me. She said she can't marry you while something is true. That's different, is it? I don't know. You're very helpful tonight. You asked me not to fix the mug. He rubbed both hands over his face. I didn't think I was lying, he said. You told Tessa you spoke to me when you hadn't. I mean, before that. With Mom. What did you think you were doing? Managing it? For what outcome? So, Mom would come. You'd come. The wedding would happen. Then Lena would come to brunch and everybody would get over it. Did Lena get a vote? No. Did I? No. Did Tessa? He stared at the countdown card. I thought I knew what everybody would do, he said. That's not the same as asking. You do it too. Yes. The answer took some of the fight out of him. He opened the refrigerator, looked inside, then closed it without taking anything. You didn't tell me what to do about Mom, he said. No. Did you really think that was helpful? No. I thought it was honest. He sat at the small kitchen table. One chair was pulled out where Tessa must have left it. Whenever Mom says she's hurt, it becomes an emergency, he said. She's good at describing pain while it's happening. You say that like it's a flaw. It isn't. The flaw is when everyone else's pain becomes the treatment. He picked up his phone again. What do I say to Tessa? What do you own? You keep saying that. You keep asking me to write it. I'm asking for help. I'm helping by not giving you words you can blame later. He glared at me, then looked back at the message. For 5 minutes, he typed and erased. His thumbs moved quickly at first, then slowed. Finally, he read aloud. I lied to you about talking to Dad. I knew he hadn't agreed, and I let you believe he had because I wanted the problem settled. I also used Mom's feelings as if they made the decision for me. They didn't. I won't come to the hotel. I'm sorry. He looked at me. Too formal? It sounds like you. Is that good? It's a start. He sent it. Tessa did not respond while I was there. Before I left, I checked that he had food, which offended him. Then I checked that he had locked the door after me, which offended him through the door. Lena's porch light was off when I drove past the dentist's office. I did not stop. She had told me to go be his father, not to report back like an employee finishing a shift. At home, the blue mug sat in the drying rack. I put it in the cabinet. Evan called at 6:30 the next morning. She wrote back, he said. I was standing in the kitchen in one sock. What did she say? Thank you for saying that. I still need time. That sounds fair. Does it? Yes. How much time? She may not know. The wedding is in 18 days. I saw the card. You saw the card? I was in your kitchen. Right? He went quiet. I'm going to work, he said. All right. Are you going to the hall Wednesday? Yes, I can help. The offer surprised me more than it should have. 5:30, I said. I'll be there. He arrived at 6:15. I had already installed 3 braces. He did not make an excuse. He picked up the socket wrench and asked which bench was next. We worked until the light behind the maples turned orange. Evan stripped one bolt, swore, then apologized to the bench. I showed him how to back the nut off without damaging the threads. Tessa did not come. Neither of us mentioned her until we were loading tools. She went back to the apartment today, he said. That's good. To get clothes. Oh. She says the wedding isn't canceled. That's good. She says it also isn't happening just because deposits were paid. That sounds like Tessa. She booked the hotel conference room, the one that holds 28. She cut the rehearsal dinner to immediate family and the wedding party. How many? 27. Efficient. She said the cousins can meet us at the bar afterward if they want. Aunt Carol will object. Aunt Carol objected when we invited her. She likes consistency. He closed the truck bed. Mom says she won't come to the rehearsal either. Because it moved? Because of you. I'm not attending the rehearsal dinner. You're my father. Lena isn't invited to the wedding. His shoulders dropped. I know. It was the first time he had said those words without arguing around them. He left in his car. I followed 10 minutes later, giving him the space of one traffic light. On Thursday, I met Lena at the brick house near her sister. I brought one flashlight. She checked my pockets. What are you doing? Looking for a tape measure. I don't need a tape measure to conceal a tape measure. That sounded like something a man carrying 2 tape measures would say. The seller's agent let us in, then went to wait on the front porch. The house smelled of floor polish and someone else's cinnamon air freshener. The kitchen cabinets were yellower than I remembered. They're cheerful, Lena said. They're an incident. You'll adjust. The old water stain on the upstairs ceiling was dry. I inspected it using only the flashlight, though my fingers ached for a moisture meter. Lena watched from the hallway. Well, it's old. The inspector said that. He was right. You sound disappointed. I like confirming things. The second bedroom faced the backyard. Lena planned to make it an office. I stood in the doorway estimating whether my desk would fit beneath the window. You're measuring with your eyes, she said. I was looking outside. At the electrical outlets, they're scenic. She walked past me into the room. My desk goes there, she said, pointing to the window. Your desk is too wide. It's my room. You said office. My office. Where does my desk go? Lena looked at me. The question had left my mouth before I could dress it as hypothetical. In the other bedroom, she said. That's our bedroom. Yes. I don't want a desk in the bedroom. Then where do you want it? I looked down the hall. There was an alcove at the top of the stairs, wide enough for a narrow desk and 2 bookcases if I built them shallow. There, I said. She leaned against the doorframe. You're sure? About the desk. Tom. I switched off the flashlight. I want to live here with you, because the wedding is a disaster? The wedding was a disaster before I noticed. Because you're afraid to lose me? I am afraid to lose you. That isn't the same as choosing a life. No. She waited. I had spent years believing certainty should feel calm. Most of mine had felt like relief after someone else made the decision. This felt different. My mouth was dry, my chest was tight. I could already see arguments about paint, boxes of hardware where she wanted towels, and her sister dropping in without warning because she lived 6 minutes away. I want the life, I said. Even the mustard cabinets. Those are staying. We'll revisit that. We won't. I'm still coming. Her face softened. Then come, she said. I kissed her in the empty room. The hardwood floor creaked beneath us, and somewhere downstairs, the seller's agent called that she needed to leave in 10 minutes. Lena's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen while I pretended not to. It's Evan, she said. My body tightened before I could stop it. What does he want? He asked if he can come see me. Here? Tonight? At my apartment? What are you going to say? I'm going to ask what he wants. He needs to apologize. Tom, I know. No toolbox, no instructions either. She typed a response. What did you say? That he can come at 7. I looked at the time. 4:20. I'll take you home. I drove. Right. We walked downstairs together. At the front door, Lena touched my arm. You don't have to look so worried. Yes, I do. He's not coming to choose between us. I know. He may not invite me. I know. And if he does, I may not say yes. That stopped me. Why? Because I don't know yet whether he wants me there or just wants everything put back. The seller's agent shifted on the porch, making a show of checking her watch. Lena kissed my cheek. Go home, she said. Let him do one thing without you standing behind it. So I drove away while she remained beside the house we had finally chosen together. At 7:18, I was in my kitchen staring at a blue mug when my phone buzzed. Evan had sent one message. I told her everything. She said she needs time. A second arrived. I'm going to Mom's now. I read both messages and put the phone face down. Then I picked it up and typed, good. That sounded approving, as if I had assigned him 2 errands. I changed it to, thank you for telling me. That sounded like a dentist confirming an appointment. I deleted everything and sent, I'm here if you need me. Evan did not respond. At 8:12, Lena called. He left, she said. How did it go? Come over. Is that good? It's an address, not a review. I drove to the apartment. The mint vent was working hard enough to freshen the whole parking lot. Lena had changed into jeans and a green sweater. Not the green dress. That would have been too neat, even for our family. 2 mugs of tea waited on the coffee table. What did he say? I asked. Sit down. I can listen standing. You pace when you listen standing. I don't. You've already crossed the room twice. I sat. Lena folded one leg beneath herself on the couch. She looked tired, but not wounded. I had learned there was a difference in how she held her shoulders. He apologized, she said. For lying, for leaving me out, for letting me think the invitation was coming, for deciding my relationship with you made me the easiest person to sacrifice. The words sounded more precise than Evan usually did. Did you believe him? Yes. Relief came too quickly. Lena saw it. That doesn't put everything back, she said. I know. It doesn't mean I suddenly feel welcome. I know. And it doesn't mean Diane won't spend the day acting like I stole her chair. You have a chair. We're still establishing where. Tom? Sorry. She reached for her tea but did not drink. He told me he resented me, she said. My hands tightened. He said, I got the part of you he wanted. I told you that. You didn't tell me he cried. I looked down. He didn't cry with me. He tried not to. That sounded like him. What did you say? I told him I didn't get that part for free. I told him you still leave rooms emotionally without moving your feet. That seems unflattering. It was not a testimonial. Did you tell him anything good? I said you were trying, past or present tense. She almost smiled. Present. I leaned back. Did he invite you? Yes. The relief tried again. I kept it in its seat. He said, Lena, I want you at the wedding. Not Dad wants you, or Tessa says you should come. He used my name. That's good. It was. But you said you need time. Yes. Why? Because an invitation isn't proof yet. It's a decision he has to carry into the next room. Diane's. Exactly. He's there now. I know. Lena studied her hands. I asked whether he had told her. He said no. I told him I wouldn't answer until he did. That's fair. It's also a condition. It's your condition. Yes. The difference mattered. I was beginning to understand that Conditions were not all threats. Sometimes they were simply the border around what a person could bear. What if she says she won't go? I asked. She will. Then what? Then we find out whether he invited me or merely asked permission in reverse. I wanted to defend him. I wanted to say he had done the difficult part by coming alone. That tears meant something, that one honest conversation deserved credit. All of it was true. None of it answered her question. I told him, I'm buying the house, she said. What did he say? He asked if you were going. And? I said yes. How did he take it? He was quiet. Then he asked if there was a garage. There isn't, I told him. That may end our relationship. I said there's a shed. That's not the same. She put her hand over mine. He said he was glad she told me. Then he said he wished you had told him. I only decided today. He knows? I told him. We sat without speaking. The apartment felt less packed than it had earlier, though the same 4 boxes remained beside the bookcase. My phone rang. Diane, Lena looked at the screen. You can answer, she said. Here? It's a phone, not a seance. I answered. Hello. Are you at home? Diane asked. No. A pause. You're with Lena. Yes, I'm coming to your house. I'm not there. I heard you. Then why are you going to my house? Meet me. She hung up. Lena tilted her head. Courtroom coat? Probably. Go. I don't want to spend the whole evening running between people. You aren't. You're choosing to have the conversation. I liked it better when I was emotionally absent. No, you didn't. No. When I reached my driveway, Diane was waiting in her car. She got out before I had turned off the engine. No camel coat. She wore a dark rain jacket and flat shoes. Her face was bare of makeup, and one side of her hair had flattened near the temple. I had seen that look after long drives and funerals. It meant she had forgotten to keep herself arranged. We went into the kitchen. Diane saw the cleared table, the blue mug near the sink, and Lena's slippers beneath the window. She noticed everything without appearing to look. I'm not having coffee, she said. I didn't offer. You were going to. I offer everybody coffee. I know. She sat. I remained standing until she pointed at the other chair. You'll make me nervous. I thought I was calm to the point of emotional vacancy. You can be 2 annoying things. I sat. Evan came to see me, she said. He told me he was going. Of course he did. He sent a text. Of course he did, she repeated, softer. She clasped her hands on the table. Her wedding ring caught the overhead light. Michael had chosen a square diamond that sat high enough to snag sweaters. Diane complained about it and wore it every day. He said Lena is invited, she continued. Yes, he said he told her himself. Yes, you knew before he came to me. For about 40 minutes. So you and Lena got to prepare. This isn't a debate. It felt like one. What did he say? You know what he said? I know the decision. I don't know the conversation. Diane looked toward the dark window. He said he loved me. He said he wanted me there. Then he said he would not remove Lena to make me come. That sounds clear. He said I had spent years telling him his father never fought for him, and now I was asking him to become exactly like you. I did not move. Those were his words? I asked. Yes. That doesn't sound exactly like me. You know what he meant. I do. He blamed me for his lying. Did he? He said I taught him that my feelings were emergencies. That isn't the same. It sounded the same from where I sat. Diane's eyes were red, but she had not cried recently. She had the dried, angry look that came afterward. What did you tell him? I asked. That I wouldn't attend. Did you mean it? I meant it when I said it, and now? She stared at me. This is what you wanted, she said. No. You wanted him to stand up to me. I wanted him to make his own decision. You wanted him to choose Lena. I wanted him to stop pretending your choice was his. Diane pushed her chair back, then pulled it forward again. Michael thinks I should go. The mention surprised me. What did you tell him? That he doesn't understand. He's been married to you 9 years. Give him some credit. He said I've spent 14 years using you as the reason I'm still angry. That's direct from Michael. He practiced in the car. I could tell. I smiled despite myself. Diane did too, but hers disappeared quickly. Are you moving into the house with her? She asked. Yes. You decided. Yes. Today? Yes. She looked around the kitchen again. You always decide after everyone has given up waiting. I'm trying to improve the schedule. That isn't funny. No. She ran one finger along the light rectangle on the tabletop. I don't hate Lena, she said. I know. I don't want to be her friend. She hasn't requested an application. I don't want to sit near her. Then don't. I don't want Michael trying to make conversation with you. I don't either. He'll talk about property taxes. He always does. He gets nervous. I know. Diane looked toward me sharply. You like him? I don't dislike him. You were supposed to. Would that have helped? For a while. There it was, small, unreasonable, and honest. I was happy with you once, she said. I know. You never say that. I didn't think it was disputed. Everything unspoken is disputed eventually. I took that without argument. She stood and zipped her jacket. I haven't decided, she said. About the wedding? Yes. Tell Evan when you do. Not you? It isn't my guest list. She gave me a tired look. You're enjoying that sentence. A little. At the door, she paused near Lena's slippers. I'm sorry I made Brooke move her at the birthday, she said. You should tell Lena. I don't know if I'm that evolved. Neither am I. I'm moving into a house with no garage. That earned a real laugh, brief and unwilling. Then Diane left. I did not call Evan. I did not call Lena. I washed 2 unused coffee cups that had been sitting beside the sink and went to bed. The next afternoon, Tessa came to my garage. She wore work clothes and carried the yellow mug wrapped in the dish towel. I'm not asking you to fix it, she said. Good. I'm asking whether it can be fixed, not so anyone could drink from it safely. She unwrapped the 3 pieces on my workbench. Could it hold something? Pens, dry flowers, regret. We already have containers for regret. I've seen the blue folder. She touched the broken flower with one finger. Evan told me he went to see Lena and Diane. Yes. He showed me what he said to both of them. How? He wrote it down first. That sounds like Evan. He said he didn't want to change it afterward to make himself look better. That also sounds like Evan on a very good day. Tessa looked at the arch, now sanded smooth and ready for its finish. I went home, she said. I waited. I'm not pretending everything is fixed. I wouldn't recommend it. But the wedding is still on. I let out a breath slowly enough that she might not notice. She noticed. Were you worried? She asked. Yes. Good. That's popular lately. She gathered the mug pieces. Can you make it hold flowers? Yes. No rush. She started toward the driveway, then turned back. And can you finish the arch by next Friday? Yes. Her hand rested on the door frame. Then I think we'll need it, she said. All 29 of us. 29? I asked. Tessa nodded. The hotel room holds 28. They found one more chair. Fire code? The manager said it's acceptable if nobody attempts to dance. That eliminates your father. My father considers standing up after dinner a dance. She wrapped the mug pieces in the dish towel again. Who are the extra 2? I asked. She gave me a look. You and Lena. Lena accepted? She told Evan she would, after he spoke to Diane. He called her this morning. I reached for my phone. Tessa raised a finger. Do not tell her I told you. You just did. She wants to tell you herself. Then, why did you? Because you looked like you were waiting for a biopsy result. She left before I could defend my face. Lena waited another 40 minutes to call. I knew because I checked the clock every 4. I've decided to attend the wedding, she said. That sounds formal. I practiced. You didn't have to. I did, actually, Evan called. Tessa may have mentioned it. That woman is a sieve. She keeps excellent folders. Lena told me Evan had described his conversation with Diane without claiming it went well. He had not promised that his mother would attend. He had not asked Lena to make the situation easier. He simply repeated the invitation and said he would understand if she could not accept it. That's why I accepted, she said. Because he gave you a way out? Because he finally carried his own discomfort into the conversation. I'm told that's good for you. In moderation. You'll wear the green dress? That is your first question? It's not my first. It's the only one that remained unanswered. Yes, Tom, I'll wear the green dress. Good. This is not a victory, I know. If Diane stays home, I'm not taking her place. I know. And if she comes, I'm not spending the day proving I deserve mine. You don't have to. She was quiet. Then she said, That one I'm still learning to believe. Evan came to the garage the next evening to help apply the finish to the arch. He wore an old button-down shirt with the sleeves cut off. I recognized it as one I had given him years earlier. That was a good shirt, I said. It had a stain, on the pocket, and now it has no sleeves. Those facts are not connected. He stirred the finish slowly, lifting the stick to check for bubbles. Tessa says if there are bubbles, she'll see them in every picture. Tessa will be looking at you. She'll see both. We laid the first arch section across the sawhorses. Evan brushed too heavily near the edge. I started to correct him, then stopped. "You're watching me do it wrong," he said. "I'm giving you room. It feels aggressive. You have too much finish on the brush." "Thank you." He smoothed the run before it reached the underside. We worked until the maple darkened to the color of honey. Evan asked whether the seam at the top would show. I told him everything shows in the right light. "Encouraging," he said. "It will hold. That's different." Yes. He had spoken to Tessa that afternoon. She had returned to the apartment but had not unpacked her overnight bag. Evan told me that, without asking what it meant. I did not interpret it for him. When we finished, he stood back with his hands on his hips. "I thought the arch would look bigger," he said. "It looks bigger upright. Are we testing it?" "Not until the finish dries." He reached toward the wood. I slapped his hand away. "That was almost dry. You raised me better. Evidence is mixed." He smiled. Before leaving, he noticed the yellow mug on my workbench. I had joined the pieces with clear epoxy, then reinforced the inside with a fitted glass cup. The cracks remained visible. "You fixed it. It can hold flowers. Don't drink from it. You can see all the breaks." "Yes." "Was that on purpose?" "It was broken." He ran one finger near the split flower without touching it. "Tessa will like that," he said. "I hope so." "Can I take it? The epoxy needs another day." He nodded and left it where it was. Brooke came by Saturday carrying 2 regular coffees and 1 cold brew. "You know I hate cold brew," I said. "It's for Lena. Lena hates cold brew." Brooke looked at the label on the cup as if it had lied to her. "I thought she liked it. Tessa brought me one at the hall. That has confused the record. I'll drink it." "You've already had coffee?" "Why is everybody monitoring my coffee? Your husband called it a public health concern. Alan is dramatic. He's resting at home while you mediate another family event. I'm not mediating." She set the cups on the kitchen table. The wedding supplies had not returned. Only the bag of miniature clothespins remained in the pantry, and I had decided they could fend for themselves. Lena arrived 5 minutes later with a paint sample for the new living room. She saw Brooke, then the 3 coffees. "Is this an intervention?" she asked. "If it is, we planned poorly," Brooke said. I took my coffee and went to the garage. Neither woman asked me to stay. That was harder than leaving. I spent 20 minutes examining dry finish that required no examination. When the back door opened, I expected Lena. Brooke stepped into the garage instead. "She knows about my birthday," she said. I told her. "You could have warned me. I was getting out of the middle. That doesn't suit you. How did it go?" Brooke leaned against the arch carefully. I apologized. "And?" She thanked me. "You look disappointed. I wanted more." "What?" "I don't know. Forgiveness, a hug, maybe a small certificate." Lena doesn't issue same-day certificates. She said she doesn't want a list of every time we made her feel optional. She said she doesn't want us digging up old injuries just because we need her to attend one wedding. That sounds like her. She also said she likes me. That sounds less like her. Brooke smiled. She said we could start with coffee sometime when nobody's in trouble. That's practically a certificate. Brooke looked toward the kitchen. "Is she really moving you into that house?" "I'm moving myself. Does it have a garage?" "No." She put a hand to her chest. "Does Evan know?" "Yes." "And he's allowing this?" "I believe that's the wrong vocabulary. I'm trying to adapt." She helped me carry the dried arch sections into the garage's clean corner, then left to have lunch with Alan. Lena remained at the table with the paint sample. "How was the cold brew?" I asked. Brooke drank it. That was the plan. She apologized. I gathered. I didn't forgive her. "You don't have to." "I probably will." "You don't have to do that either." "I know." She held up the paint sample. It was pale green. "For the living room. It looks gray." "It's green. It has surrendered. That's why you'll like it." The rehearsal dinner took place in the Magnolia Room at the hotel, though there was nothing floral about it. Brown carpet, beige walls, and one frame photograph of a sailboat listing to the left. 29 chairs fit only after the staff removed a table intended for coffee service. Aunt Carol objected to being near the service door. "It's drafty," she told Evan. The door leads to a hallway. Hallways cause drafts. Evan moved her chair himself. I said nothing. Lena's place card had her name written in Tessa's careful block letters, not Tom's guest, not a blank space beside mine. Lena ran her thumb over it, then set it back exactly where it had been. Diane's card remained near the front. Her chair remained empty. Michael had sent Evan a message saying they would not attend the dinner, but hoped to see everyone at the ceremony. The word hoped did more work than it deserved. Evan read the message, put his phone in his pocket, and helped Tessa's father understand the parking validation machine. Dinner arrived 20 minutes late. The rolls were cold. Someone had put mushrooms in the chicken after Tessa had specified no mushrooms in 3 separate emails. Her mother began to call the manager. Tessa stopped her. "The chicken can have mushrooms," she said. Her mother looked genuinely alarmed. "But you don't like them? I'll move them." She moved them to Evan's plate. He ate them. That was the closest thing to a miracle the room offered. Brooke sat with Alan across from Lena and me. The first 10 minutes were careful. Then Alan asked Lena about the yellow kitchen cabinets, and she said I had diagnosed them with mustard. Brooke told her I once lived with brown paneling for 9 years because I could not decide whether to paint it. I was evaluating options, I said. You had sample cards taped to the wall until the colors were discontinued, Brooke said. Lena turned to me. We're painting before you move in. This is a coalition. Yes, Alan said. I've waited years. At the next table, Evan laughed. He looked over, saw Lena laughing with Brooke, and his expression loosened. He did not make a grand toast. Tessa's father welcomed everyone. Tessa thanked the hotel staff for finding the extra chair. Evan stood long enough to thank people for coming, then looked at Tessa. I know this week has not gone according to plan, he said. That's because you used a spreadsheet, Brooke called. People laughed. Evan did too. He did not apologize publicly or explain what had happened. He simply said, I'm grateful we're here honestly. Tessa reached for his hand. After dinner, Evan introduced Lena to a cousin who had flown in from Oregon. This is Lena, he said. Dad's partner. 3 ordinary words. Lena answered the cousin's questions about the house. Evan stayed beside them instead of finding another task. When we left, Diane's place card was still on the table. Evan picked it up and put it in his jacket pocket. The wedding morning began before sunrise in my garage. Evan arrived at 6 to load the arch. We wrapped each section in moving blankets and slid them into the truck bed. He checked the bolts twice. I checked them a 3rd time after he turned away. At the hall, fog sat low across the grass behind the building. The maple trees dripped from overnight moisture. We carried the uprights across the lawn and fitted the curved section between them. The repaired hollow faced the back. Evan noticed. You hit it, he said. I positioned it. Same thing. No. Hiding would mean pretending it isn't there. Positioning means Aunt Carol doesn't photograph it and ask if the arch has termites. He tightened the last bolt. When we lifted it upright, the arch looked larger. Tessa arrived with her mother and stopped at the end of the aisle. For several seconds, she said nothing. Evan glanced at me. I shook my head. He needed to wait. It's perfect, she said. It isn't, I told her. She walked closer, touched the maple, and smiled. Today it is. By noon, the hall was full of garment bags, flowers, extension cords, and adults asking where to stand. The photographer tried to move the first 2 benches. Evan told him they were staying where Tessa wanted them. Lena arrived in the green dress. It did not make her look like a bank manager. She stood near the back of the hall, suddenly uncertain amid all the noise. I crossed the room before anyone could redirect me. You came, I said. I said I would. I know. You look surprised. I'm nervous. You have digestive concerns. Severe. She straightened my tie. At the ceremony site, 2 place cards marked the right front bench. Tom, Lena. Across the aisle, Diane and Michael waited on the left. The chairs behind their cards were empty. 15 minutes before the ceremony, Evan checked his phone. Nothing. He put it away and adjusted one of the maple branches woven through the arch. 10 minutes. 5. The coordinator closed the hall doors and told everyone to take their seats. Evan stood beneath the arch, looking toward the path from the parking lot. I watched him decide whether to wait. Then tires rolled over gravel. A dark sedan appeared beyond the trees. Michael got out first. He walked around the hood and opened the passenger door. Diane stepped onto the grass in a navy dress, holding his hand. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then the coordinator hissed, "We are already 4 minutes behind," as though Diane had personally delayed the rotation of the Earth. Evan walked across the grass. He did not run. He did not make his mother's arrival into a rescue. He stopped in front of her and waited. Diane released Michael's hand. "I'm sorry we're late," she said. Evan nodded. "I'm glad you're here." She looked toward the arch, where Tessa waited inside the hall with the doors closed. Then her eyes found Lena beside me. "I haven't changed my mind about everything," Diane said. "I didn't ask you to." "No, you didn't." She touched Evan's cheek. "You look like your father." "He'll recover," I called. Michael laughed. Diane didn't, but the corner of her mouth moved. Evan hugged her. She held herself stiffly for the first second, then wrapped both arms around him. The coordinator appeared between them with the expression of a woman prepared to separate people using a clipboard. "Front left," she told Diane and Michael. "Quickly, please." Michael shook my hand as he passed. "Tom, good to see you." "You too. I hear you're moving. News travels?" "You should appeal the property assessment before you establish residency." Diane closed her eyes. "Michael," she said. "What?" "The county uses the purchase price unless you file within seat," she told him. He went to his seat. Diane stopped in front of Lena. The two women had been in the same rooms before. They had exchanged greetings, passed serving dishes, and once spent 10 minutes together discussing whether a restaurant's air conditioning was intentionally cruel. They had never stood face to face with nothing between them but what everyone knew. "You look lovely," Diane said. "So do you," Lena replied. The words were formal, but not false. Diane glanced at the place card on the right bench. "I won't cause a scene." Lena's expression barely changed. "I didn't expect you to." That could have become several things. Diane let it remain one sentence. She crossed the aisle and sat beside Michael. I took my place beside Lena. Evan returned to the arch. As he passed me, his hand brushed my shoulder. Not a signal I understood, but a signal all the same. The music began, the hall doors opened, and Tessa stepped into the afternoon light. Whatever she had been carrying for the previous 2 weeks was still there. I could see it in the careful way she breathed before starting down the aisle. A wedding did not erase lying, fear, or an overnight bag that remained half-packed. It did not certify anyone as repaired, but Evan looked at her without looking away. She reached him beneath the maple arch and took both his hands. The ceremony was short. The officiant mispronounced Tessa's aunt's last name in the welcome. A breeze lifted one corner of the runner and wrapped it around a bench leg. Aunt Carol whispered that she could feel a draft. The benches held. Evan's vows were not polished. He lost his place, unfolded the paper the wrong way, and had to turn it around while everyone waited. Tessa smiled. "Take your time." He looked at her. "I'm learning to," he said. That line was not written on the paper. Diane lowered her eyes. Across the aisle, Brooke reached for Alan's hand. Evan continued. He promised Tessa that when he was afraid, he would tell her what he was afraid of, instead of arranging everyone else around it. He promised to ask questions he might not like the answers to. He did not mention me, Diane, or Lena. He did not turn his vows into a family confession. They belonged to Tessa. Her vows were steadier. She promised not to mistake keeping plans for keeping promises. Then she added that she would never again let him order mushroom pizza and claim it was an accident. "That happened once," Evan said, 3 times. The officiant reminded them that rebuttals were not traditional. When they kissed, Diane stood with everyone else. The photographer took control immediately afterward. He arranged the wedding party beneath the arch, then moved through combinations at the speed of a livestock auction. Bride's family, groom's family, parents, siblings, partners. No one seemed to know what he meant by the last word. Brooke and Alan stepped in. Michael joined Diane. I stood on Evan's other side. Lena remained near the end of the first bench. Tessa saw her. "Lena," she called, "we need you." The photographer checked his list. Immediate family first. Tessa looked at him. "We need her." Lena joined us. She did not stand between Diane and Evan or take anyone's place. She stood beside me, her hand resting lightly against my back. The photographer raised his camera. Everybody closer. We moved half an inch. Closer. Aunt Carol, watching from the aisle, said, "He wants you to merge." Michael laughed. Even Diane smiled. The camera clicked. Afterward, Lena stepped out for a photograph of Evan with Diane and me. She did it without being asked, Diane noticed. When that picture was finished, Diane looked toward her. "Come back in," she said. It was not warmth, it was not forgiveness, it was room. The reception filled the Grange Hall with music, glassware, and the smell of roasted chicken. Tessa had placed the repaired yellow mug on the table beside the guest book. It held 3 pale roses in the fitted glass cup. The cracks showed beneath the stems. "You made it useful," Evan said. "Tessa did?" "You fixed it. I made it capable of holding flowers. Don't put coffee in it. I know. Tell her. She knows. Tell her anyway." He glanced across the room at Tessa, who was talking to her mother. "I will." For most of the evening, things went wrong at a manageable pace. The microphone squealed during Tessa's father's toast. Someone misplaced the cake knife. The bartender ran out of tonic water, which Michael treated as a supply chain failure requiring investigation. Each time, I felt the old reflex tighten in me. Stand up, find the knife, adjust the speaker, drive to a store. Each time, someone else handled it. Tessa found the cake knife in the blue folder. Alan adjusted the microphone. Michael drank ginger ale and survived. Evan moved from table to table without asking me to check the schedule or solve the next problem. He looked tired. He also looked present. Brooke gave a toast about the first time she met Tessa and knew immediately that her brother had found someone who could out-organize him. Alan whispered to me that Brooke had cut 4 minutes from the toast after rehearsal. "Was there a slideshow?" I asked. "Charts. Good intervention." Diane's toast was brief. She stood beside her chair, one hand around a champagne glass. When Evan was upset, she said, "He used to tell me nothing was wrong. Then he would spend 3 days moving every object in his apartment 6 inches to the left." Evan laughed. "That happened once." "Your wife knows that means 3 times, Diane said. More laughter. Diane looked at Tessa. "Thank you for loving my son enough to make him stop moving the furniture." She raised her glass. That was all. No accusation, no claim, no performance of surrender. When she sat, Michael kissed her temple. I had not prepared a toast. That surprised everyone, including me. For weeks I had carried possible sentences in my head. Some were generous, some were clever. A few had edges sharp enough to ruin the evening while allowing me to claim innocence. When Tessa's mother asked whether I wanted the microphone, I shook my head. "You're the groom's father," she said. "I know. You should say something." Evan had heard. He looked at me from across the dance floor. I let him decide. He crossed the room and stopped beside my chair. "You don't have to," he said. It was the first gift he gave me that day. I stood anyway. The microphone squealed when I took it. Alan made an apologetic gesture toward the speaker. "I had a speech," I said. That was not true, but it made people settle. I also had advice. Most of it was excellent. Tessa smiled. "But you two have received enough advice to last through several marriages. So I'll keep this short." I looked at my son. "When you love someone, ask. Don't decide what they'll say because it makes your day easier." Evan's eyes held mine. Then I looked at Tessa. "And when he forgets, charge him for the mushrooms." People laughed. "To Evan and Tessa," I said. I handed the microphone back before the moment could become about anything else. Diane and Michael left before the final dance. She found Evan near the cake table and hugged him for a long time. I did not hear what they said. I saw Evan nod once, then again. Michael shook my hand at the door. "File before January," he said. "I'll remember." "You won't. I'll email you." I was afraid of that. Diane approached Lena last. "I should have spoken to you," she said. Lena waited. Before asking Evan to handle it, Diane added, "I should have spoken to you." "Yes," Lena said, "you should have." Diane absorbed the answer. "I'm not ready for coffee," she said. "Neither am I. Maybe eventually? Maybe." They did not hug. Diane looked at me. "The arch is beautiful." Evan helped. "I know." She left with Michael. The final dance happened an hour later, after enough guests had gone that the floor no longer looked crowded. Tessa and Evan danced in the center. Brooke and Alan moved slowly near the wall, arguing quietly about which one of them was leading. I held out my hand to Lena. "This is a Grange Hall," she said. "It has music. It has peanut shells under one table. Atmosphere." She took my hand. I was not good. I stepped on her once. She informed me immediately. "You're supposed to follow," I said. "You're supposed to lead somewhere. That feels pointed. It's dancing." She rested her head near my shoulder. Across the floor, Evan saw us. For a moment, I expected the old hurt to cross his face. Some of it did. Hurt does not disappear because the seating chart changes. Then Tessa said something to him, and he looked back at her. That mattered more. After the guests left, I helped carry unopened bottles into the hall kitchen. Evan told me to stop. I can carry a box, I said. You've been here since 6. So have you. It's my wedding. That excuse expires at midnight. It's 12:15. I put the box down. He smiled. Go home, Dad. Home. For another 11 days, it still meant the kitchen where I had heard him say I wouldn't notice. After that, it would mean yellow cabinets, a pale green living room, and a desk in the upstairs alcove. Lena and I walked to the parking lot. Fog had returned to the field. The arch stood behind the hall, bare now that Tessa's mother had removed the flowers. You have to take that down tomorrow, Lena said. Evan's meeting me at 8. You trust him to arrive at 8? No. That's why I told him 8. She slipped her hand into mine. Did today feel like a victory? I asked. No. Good. It felt like a wedding. That was better. Evan arrived the next morning at 8:12, carrying a stainless steel thermos and 2 paper cups. I was already behind the hall, removing the first ground steak. You're late, I said. I brought coffee. That buys 7 minutes. He set the cups on the nearest bench. I'm 12 minutes late. The coffee isn't that large. The field was damp. Chairs had been stacked beneath the maples, and crushed flower petals marked the aisle. Without guests, music, or ribbon, the arch looked like what it was, 4 pieces of maple held together with bolts. Evan poured coffee into both cups. He held the cream carton over mine. Cream? I take it black. I know. Then why did you ask? He looked at me. I'm trying something new. I took the cup. Black. He added cream to his own, no sugar. We stood beside the bench drinking coffee. The morning air carried the smell of wet grass and old wood. Tessa's still asleep, he said. She should be. She unpacked her bag. That's good. She kept it in the closet. That may be wise. He nodded. Mom called this morning. How is she? Sad. That's allowed. She said she's glad she came. So am I. She said she doesn't know what happens next. Neither do I. Evan looked toward the arch. I used to think you didn't notice anything, he said. I took a drink of coffee. I noticed. I know that now. I thought noticing and not answering was the kind thing. Was it? No. He nudged a crushed rose petal with the toe of his shoe. When I said it in the kitchen, I knew you were there, he said. That surprised me. You looked at me. I thought you were listening. You counted on me, pretending I wasn't. Yes. Why? He considered the question longer than I expected. Because then, I didn't have to find out whether you would fight me. And if I did, I could be angry. You manage that. He smiled faintly. I'm still angry, he said. I know. Not about Lena being there. I know. I don't know how long the rest takes, longer than taking this arch apart. That's not helpful. It's not supposed to be. He set down his cup and picked up the wrench. We removed the curved top first. Evan held its weight while I backed out the bolts. At the repaired hollow, his hand adjusted automatically, taking the heavier side. Ready? I asked. Ask me when you're actually ready. I checked the final bolt. Now. Now. We lifted together and lowered the maple onto the waiting blankets. Neither of us let go until it was down.